Evening, welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting, March 10th, 2016. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any changes to the agenda?
Nope. Other than
7:05. Update for, I want to describe it not so much by your parcel, but by that wetland, which we're going to talk to Mark about in about 2 seconds. Can I see your map? Do you have it with you?
Oh,
There we go.
the giant map.
No. Although the giant map is pretty spectacular.
The giant map is behind me. In its poster tube.
I don't know how we would describe it. Let's call it the East Main Street wetland system. Why don't we do that? No, it's actually technically it's on West Main. So we'll call it the West Main Street wetland behind the fire station for 7:05. Thank you for your map.
You're welcome.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Park Street.
Yeah.
So the fire station's here, so it's this.
Oh, seconded.
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. All right, let's skip meeting minutes till afterwards. So 7:05 West Main Street. So I was able to walk down after the snow cleared out to walk down to see it. So Mr. Wetzel, if you pass the fire station on West Main Street, there's a wetland system and there's an area where it necks down and there's a beaver dam there, which is amazingly right on the other side of Mechanic Street Extension. Then that system travels along and comes out over to where the area is where they extended the fiber across to the DPW a couple years back.
It was the old DPW access road.
Exactly, where the where there was that huge huge
There was a culvert.
culvert pipe that's in there. It's all ripped up. So what I actually wanted to talk to you about tonight, we actually mentioned it during our last meeting, is like to have Mike Sullivan come and take a look about putting a beaver deceiver in the dam that's up by the end of the Mechanic Street Extension. Mike Callahan, thank you. And we didn't know if you'd have an issue with us putting one through that culvert pipe as well.
No, we try to get down to the culvert pipe and clean that out every once in a while, but so it'd be fine with us.
Do you need that?
What's that?
Do you need that access for anything?
No. I think the kids walk through there.
Oh, I don't know if anybody can. Not through that area where the fence is?
They walk through somewhere.
I think they walk through where you are, off
No,
West Main.
They come through our yard, our DPW yard, and I don't know where they cross over, but I thought it was along there.
Well, what it is, so I'm told, I physically have not gone all the way because I look at poison ivy and I get it, so I don't like to walk that there.
Sure.
But if you go straight, to the right of way
Mm-hmm.
and take a right and walk there, my husband has said that there's usually boards going over the water.
Okay.
Kids do that. Now, you can talk to Max kids and ask them because they've done it.
Well, I'm much more interested in how we're going to deal with this problem than what are the kids doing. So,
And that solves another one of our problems. We're just starting to investigate this, but we had a problem with the drain pipe that goes back to clean it.
okay.
And that, well, we didn't realize what that drain pipe did. We thought it just drained one catch basin and cleaned the parking lot. And we found out, no, it drains the whole Broughton Street, Pearl Street, Jackson Street. And it collapsed over the winter.
Sure.
And so it was surcharging the manhole in the cleaner parking lot and going into their basement. So we replaced that pipe in the early winter, but the channel that it discharges in, which is just a vacuum cleaner, which then goes under the railroad tracks, is a really flat grade.
Okay.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
So we cleaned that out a little bit to get the water moving, but it's still, the water still get, if the water's high, it doesn't go anywhere. So it backs up right back at clean.
All
And
right.
it
So,
takes a lot of water.
do you have plans to deal with that at some point?
We need to get out there and do some survey and figure out what the grades are and everything, but we just didn't get a chance to do the winter, so we gotta get out there with a brush hog and clear a path as it gets all poison ivy and buffalo brush.
Yeah, well, you can have it then. Let you-
And then another part of this whole issue is we're meeting in 2 weeks with the fire chief to talk about, we bought the Zero Park Street property, the town bought Zero Park Street property, so that we could do some flood control for the fire station so it doesn't flood. And so we're gonna be applying for a FEMA grant to do that project. And that's gonna require us to do some compensatory storage somewhere in that area also. So we'll have to look at the big picture of that whole water resource before we do anything.
Well, I don't think, if I can steal that back, I don't think that anything, thank you. I don't think anything that we would be talking about on West Main Street would hurt any of that. If
No.
anything, it would just help.
It'll help it, yeah.
Because as you can, in fact, one of the reasons I was looking at this is, so our work would be east of Nonaquacious.
Yep.
So that's the, thank you, I didn't even know there was one. Our work will be east of Nonaquacious where it comes through.
Right.
And so anything that we're doing in that system is relieving the water pressure that's backing up against that fire department side. So,
Yeah, well, that'd be fine.
okay. So,
We can trap some of the users too.
well, I've heard that's an option, but
You kind of need to do both. That's what Mike usually recommends, is that and he looks at it and sees how fresh everything is and whether there is active beaver activity and to what extent and whether trapping is needed.
well, in this particular case, my guess would be we certainly have funds to do another beaver deceiver. So if nothing else, I'd like to start there because it would help control that water level. And the good thing about it is that right now, as we saw that day, the water is up, but it wasn't in your basement on the day we were there, and it's about a 1.5 foot dam that's in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like a great place to.
Yeah, pretty easy for him to do that.
Yeah, it's not, and it's also when you look at the amount of water that can back up behind it, it's not that big.
Mm.
So hopefully we wouldn't run into the kind of problems that you might with Rock Meadow Pond, where there was so many millions of gallons behind that dam when it let go. So, right. Well, if you have no problem with that, and we have no problem with that, then we'll call Callahan and ask him to come take a look at those 2 spots, and we'll go from there.
Which are the 2 spots?
So the first one is effectively what is the end of the Mechanic Street extension. So if you were to drive down to the end of the Mechanic Street extension and then come through the brush, you would run into an area where there's a pathway that comes right out to Parthenon Pizza.
Okay.
That's the way I came in the last time. I came in through Parthenon to see it from the other side. And you can see the drop in the beaver dam. Then if you keep going down the road, you get to the area where we were at when we did the fiber extension with the folks that were doing the Central Mass project. And they set those poles, remember?
Yeah.
That was back in 13. So that area is where that culvert pipe's got to be 12 feet in diameter. It's huge. And it's half buried, or at least half full. And
I think it's half ripped out.
right, it's at least half ripped out. And so that would be the second area to potentially put a beaver deceiver, and that would save you from having to clean it out each year. And
So you're talking about 2 beaver deceivers?
2.
Okay.
And since I'm assuming I'm going to be making this phone call, the second location that's being referenced by past experiences primarily, and that one project that happened when I wasn't here.
So what I was going to do was, so what I started to do was, I wanted to go down and walk it, so it's just easier to just do a Google Earth picture and then PDF it and put 2 arrows on it and say, here.
Right.
And he can, if he needs to, have him give Doug Jasperson, the highway foreman, a call. Doug can.
Well, the good news is they're both super easy to get to from the main road, so he doesn't have to go traipsing through folks' yards and that kind of thing. So that's what I came up with. I just couldn't get down into that dam from the back side, from the other side, until the weather cleared up a little bit. So mostly I waited for it to get cold again so I could walk in there.
Excuse me? It's not gonna get cold again.
No, I waited for it to get cold so it would be frozen, so when I walked in it wouldn't be so soupy like it was that day we were there with the rain.
Well, it's would have been worse yesterday, huh?
Probably would have been.
That's why I don't go in there. Besides the poison ivy, I don't have too much fun in there.
So we'll send that picture off to
I
him.
appreciate it, thank you.
No, not a problem. All right, 7:15.
Right on time.
Please step up. Ken, right?
Yep.
For our 7:15, JP Ruthier Recycling Tire Chip Removal Update.
So I asked Ken to come in primarily because of all of the decisions and emails and everything that sort of happened in a blur last week. I wanted to make sure that the story that got told wasn't, there were no mix-ups or anything, that's all. And right now, Bill has 2 pieces of paper. He's got a photo documentation of the whole project that Ken put together. Thank you very much for that. And the seed mix that was put down. And then,
All right,
you
I
know,
don't know whose
Bonnie,
phone that is, but I just shut mine off because that's,
I didn't even hear that phone.
somebody's phone is vibrating.
Bonnie and Jess saw the beginning, and I went out there yesterday and had a chat and had a walk and had a seat. So, you know, George, Takashi, Bill, if you've got anything you'd like to get cleared up or addressed, or you know, or Bonnie or Jess, if you want to know how things finished up.
Well, why don't you, so first off, boy, that's one hell of an arm on that machine.
Yeah, it was huge.
So how did we make out? Are the chips, were you able to get the chips out? Are they removed?
Yep.
Okay. And I guess what we're actually bemoaning is that it didn't stay cold enough that everything be frozen and be.
Yeah, and as it turned out, it's not going to get any colder, you know, until perhaps next August.
Well, I got to tell you, we were counting back at work today, and we could count back 5 April 1st snowstorms. So I'm not counting it out just yet.
And so, one thing was there had been erosion controls at the bottom, and then they were removed before they started the work, and then put back after the work. So that's something we should keep in mind, because the erosion controls were taken out during the work process.
They took it
Yeah.
out so that they could have good access with the machine,
Okay.
and then they put them back after
Okay.
after they did that. You know, it wasn't raining or anything, so it wasn't.
I was going to say, so,
And it's in place now.
okay.
It's all back.
Are you comfortable with the protection that's in now while it's all
Yeah.
soil
yeah,
in there?
And the conversation we had yesterday was basically that I'm going to get a phone call when grass starts to come through, and we know that it's seeded and established, and you know there's actually going to be something there.
So one thing we had a chat with the seed company, I think we bought the seed from, the seed company.
Yeah, New
Amherst.
England Rutlands.
Yeah, they had suggested that, it might be too late now to do it, but,
Looks like it is.
yeah. That, yeah, to get the best germination, you know, the most efficient and best germination would have been to put down topsoil, right? Kind of a thin layer of topsoil. And then, but I think it's fine, but I think it needs to be watered. Like if we have a dry spell, that those seeds need to be kept wet until they germinate.
For now,
For now, we're fine,
Yeah.
for now,
And it's mulched.
right? And it's mulch, right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So yeah, and so the erosion controls are all going to stay in place until the grass grows, and the foreman claims to be a bit of a green thumb. And before the mulch was put down, you know, his feeling was that there was enough organic material for something to germinate in. He didn't feel that it would scrape to mineral soil. So you know, whether or not the grass grows will help.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
It's-
not filled material. It's got quite a bit of
Yeah.
organics in it.
yeah.
I think the only other thing we were confused on, or, is it Mike on the site?
Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Mike.
So you were talking about riprap,
Well,
and then
uh,
that was something that I didn't feel comfortable deciding on the site.
no, at
So
one
it was-
point, it seemed like the embankment was going to be somewhat steep.
Right, it was
and
pretty
The
steep.
contractor, Buxton, said, well, you know, we could put riprap down and then we'll stabilize it right away.
Right,
And so
okay.
we posed the question, then it said, well, that would have to go back through this group, and said, no, just continue on, just follow the order conditions as it's written. If it doesn't work, if it's unstable, if it erodes, we'll come back and we'll talk about putting riprap in, but I think it's gonna be
Okay.
fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so Mike was a little confused. He was talking about maybe we should do some riprap anyways on top of the jute or whatever, so. It was, so that's, I think, one of the reasons we wanted you to just come in and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Be on the same
it's
page.
pretty well stabilized. I think it's gonna be fine if it germinates properly, and if it doesn't, then we'll go from there. We'll, if we need repairs, we'll do repairs.
And that's what I heard yesterday as well, is that there's no current intent for the riprap. The riprap was an of the moment, spur of the moment idea. And, now that the grass seed is in and everything's done that way, they're not gonna double up. The other thing that was mentioned yesterday is the wall that on the edge of that hill is being pulled back, maybe 3 or 4 feet to more level ground. And so, that ought to help as well.
Mm.
And they're going to back up the wall with hay bales and
Silt fence.
thank you.
Great.
Right.
Well, that's good, because yeah, if you had rushing water, it'll just wipe out any progress you make.
Yeah, the water actually doesn't, it flows back away from that top of the crest, if you will.
Okay.
So.
Hard to tell in the pictures.
Water, yeah, I know, because there's so many tire chips on the what I'll call the up gradient side.
Fair enough.
But water doesn't run through that wall. It runs back and
Away
then
from
down into a water separator.
Okay. Yeah, if I remember correctly, so if I think of it as the wetland resource down here, so you came through the parking lot, you would come up around here. We had the separation station on this end, and then there was one catch basin over here. And are there two catch basins?
Yes.
2 catch basins, one over here and one over here. So that makes sense. So you were graded to that anyway from the get-go.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad that we had such a turnout on it and were able to take a look at it. And I'm also glad that that things said, unfortunately, on sites are best left to the guys who are talking about it on the site, because they're not the guys who make the decisions, and they always say stupid-ass things on every job, so there's nothing you can do about it. So,
No, Mike.
He wasn't
Mike's-
bad.
No, he wasn't bad. No, he was.
did he bring up something that wasn't on the plans or wasn't approved?
Just the riprap.
Just the
Yeah, just
riprap.
There we
A
go.
little
Yeah.
confusion.
So it sounds like everything worked out.
Seems to have.
All right.
Well, he didn't know the process. He called me and said, "Can we do this instead?"
I've heard him. I didn't have to be there with him. I've heard him 100,000 times. I know who he is. He's the guy who says, well, I know you made all these plans and everybody made their concessions and the ideas were agreed upon, but you know what I was thinking?
And I understood his point about the safety with the arm swinging down and having the erosion controls, but generally on longer projects, we wouldn't want the erosion controls taken up during the actual work.
No, I guess the interesting part is, so I have absolutely zero problem with the erosion controls being removed to do what happened
Right.
based upon the circumstances
Right.
of the weather and the fact that they went right back in.
Right.
That's perfect.
Right.
So that's great.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to say you can remove the erosion controls during the project because someone who wasn't familiar with what the intent was could make a mistake that way.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right.
Yeah, no, it was a good response on Mike's part, so.
Are there any other questions or thoughts?
No, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on the potentially confusing back and forths that happened, and nobody had any underlying concerns that needed to be addressed. If we're gonna, be done with this and move forward, we want to make sure that everybody knows everything.
We look forward to hearing about the grass.
So we'll give you a call.
Right.
And is there any other filings? Any closure? This is
No,
it?
you were an RDA, right?
RDA.
RDA, so just let us know when the grass comes in so we can pop by.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, 7:26, pretty close. We have a violation for 4 Eagles Nest. How are you, Mr. Canny?
Good, yourself.
Good, thank you.
Time no see.
Has been.
Just so you didn't think I was thinking I was losing it. That's why I said I called you and thought I missed the meeting last night.
Where is it?
Right here.
Oh,
No, well, that's from the Lowell Sun.
Would they publish our meeting as being a Wednesday night now?
Wednesday night, and I I went back into the paper and I looked and I called him right away. I was apologizing. He called me back. I don't really know what you're talking about. He says, because if you missed it, I probably missed it too.
Well, there you go.
You know, for some reason, I always did thought it was on a Wednesday night, and it kind of confused me. They did say that, and that's why I went back into the paper.
And the problem too is that you said that, and then I come downstairs and you tell me you thought you missed the meeting.
Yeah.
And then I just thought maybe you were talking about the same thing.
At that point, you're starting to wonder which calendar you've got, and there was that whole talk about 11 minutes and 24 seconds, whatever it is, that gets lost each year.
Each year?
Yeah, apparently it's not as simple as one day every 4 years. It's actually 1 day and 11 minutes and so many seconds. So it's going to catch up with us at some point.
Yeah. Sooner or later, it ain't going to make a difference.
Town takes that out of them.
Do they do? So it's working. All right.
Well, I guess basically the reason is again, I'm here is because you guys have received the call. Brian had called me saying that, you know, somebody had said that I was taking trees down along the edge of the water and that. So when Brian called me, I said, what I'd like to do is have you come out and meet with me so I can show you what went on. Basically about 15 or 20 feet from my back porch at the house, there was a big old oak, anywhere between like 18 and 20 inches. The last fall blew over and split. Unfortunately, it went into the edge of the pond and not into my
Thank goodness.
porch.
Yeah.
So it was late in the season, didn't get around to taking this out, winter come in, ice set and all of that. Last Saturday, I had a machine on another job. I had a few hours left. I went over with my son. We yanked that tree out of there and cut that tree up. What I wanted Brian to do is I wanted Brian to come over and see it so he wasn't just thinking that I was cutting trees and that there wasn't a reason for me to be there and do what I did.
Sure.
So Brian seen it, the stumps rotted right down into the ground. And so again, when we took that tree out, there was one little, probably 8 to 10 inch pine that had split as well. I took that one as well, so that wouldn't be an issue and come back on the house down the road.
Well, I'm
So that's
glad.
basically really what it is in a nutshell. I understand what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do, but the reality of it is I felt that, you know, this was something caused by Mother Nature. I was just cleaning up the mess. It was something I didn't get a chance to, and I had a spur of the moment, few hours to take care of it, and that's why I went in there and did that. So.
No, excuse me. So we had this. We'd had this experience in the past. So in general, if there's a safety issue, then obviously human safety always takes precedent, especially when it's a tree that could damage the house or hurt someone in the area. So I guess the only rule would be please ask for us next time so that we can talk about it at the time.
Right.
But in this case, if you had a split tree, I trust your judgment that it was a split or broken tree. What was your feeling? Was the tree rotted down at the bottom? Did Dave fake his tree splitting?
No, the tree did split. The tree did fall in the river, or sorry, in the pond.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's still an open order of conditions on this property and the next door property, and there's a conservation easement on that land as well. And so, you know, that layer of, you know, it says you can't do stuff unless you come and ask. So, you know, it happened twice in the marriage speaking. So just, you know, details that need to be addressed.
Is that a 25-foot?
Correct,
Yeah.
25 foot. And again, you know, I mean, if I was in there and it was something I said, you know, these are gonna be a danger to me down the road, you know, I'd meet with you guys, have you come out. Being it was something that Mother Nature created and dropped into the pond and split the other one, and I did have that time to do it. And I had the machine that we had rented for the day. So I yanked it out. It was kind of a spur of the moment type thing. I did no more than take down what was damaged by Mother Nature.
Well, why don't we turn a minor negative into a positive? So why don't we commit to getting in the certificates of compliance requests in the next couple months?
Sure.
Get those in
What
for
is,
spring.
you know, it's been a little bit because I've kind of stepped aside from building here and just doing my garden center thing with my kids. what's gonna be the actual requirement now to do the certificate of compliance. I know I gotta pull my files and get the order of condition and all that stuff. There's paperwork there, it's gotta be signed and filled out, right?
Right, so for this particular case, so there'd be two parts. The first one, I'd have to read through your actual order of conditions, but typically there's the survey to prove that the as-built plan to show that everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. So that's number one. And then number two would be proof that that all the grass had grown in the places that you said it would, which I'm sure by now is not an issue there. At that point, you would send a letter requesting a certificate of compliance, and it's not a form, correct? It was just a letter.
There's a request for.
Is there?
Yeah, I think there's a request form
That's
on
It's a
the
very
back.
easy form.
That's right.
It's about
That's
a
right.
page and a half,
And the as-built needs to be signed by.
certified.
Right.
engineer.
It'll say right in the notice in the original order. So you would have the as-built. You would fill out the form, request a meeting. We would come out and visit the property. At that point, we would sign off if everything was in place, and then at that point, you'd be able to remove the hay bales, silt fence, stakes, etc.
Yeah.
And then you'd be
Well,
pushed out.
those have been long rotted and everything's been stabilized for a while. The only thing that I can,
I remember it was a while.
yeah, the only thing I can remember from that we had some meetings about the rain gardens at one time.
Right.
there, too. So, but other than that, everything's pretty much exactly to what the plan was. There might be a grade change as far as height, because I think when I met with you, I showed you, we kind of picked up the lots there,
Right.
about a foot, and we kept everything, anything that had a potential of going towards the pond, heading away from it in the other direction. So it's all worked out well. I mean, we haven't had 1/3 of an inch washout at any spot on anywhere. So, but it's all good drainage soil too. There, it's all a nice sandy, gravelly type stuff. So.
Well, no, I remember when you were actually doing the foundations, and we were talking about the rain gardens, and you were setting up, and you were showing us how you were going to change the grades back there, and
Yeah.
it all made sense at the time.
Yeah, it all worked very well.
So, if that makes sense to you, move forward that way. Any thoughts? Yeah. Okay. So
Good.
we look forward to seeing you with a letter and walking the property and congratulating you on how beautiful the house looks.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoy it great. I sit out there on my porch for hours in the summer. You know, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, as far as the stuff, I didn't touch it. There was one thing in that pond that fell there. It was a tree that's been in there for 30, 40 years, fell in there. And, you know, at one point, I said, geez, it'd be nice to clean that up. And I'm glad we never did. You know, the reason why? I've never seen so much wildlife attracted to a tree in my life. And one day my stepdaughter came home from college and she said to me, she goes, Dave, she goes, what's that out there? She goes, on a tree. And you know, I named it Eagle's Nest for a reason. And
Right.
we went over that
Oh,
one
yeah.
night.
Was the eagle?
Right out there, she goes, it's got a brown feathers, a white head, and a yellow beak. I jetted to that window and I couldn't believe it. There's a bald eagle sitting right there on it. You know, so I see them quite frequently because I think they nest out behind Shaw's Market out there in Groton somewhere.
We actually we saw we were passing down Central that day, and one of my sons was in the car with me, and he said, "What is that?" And it was flying out over. It was coming over Flanagan's, coming towards Sandy Pond, and it was a bald eagle.
How long ago was that?
It would have been back in. It would have been the beginning of February. It was early, and we were saying at the
You
time,
know-
I said, "Boy, that's awful early for eagles to be back."
You know, it's funny. I think I seen them that same day because there was one that came across 2 days later. There was guys working on the poles out front.
Oh yeah.
And I just happened to look out there. I seen the truck, and I just looked for a minute, and then I see them. They're all pointing. I look up, and there's another one circling right there. You know, so it's neat. You know, I enjoy that. I'd
Oh, yeah.
rather look at that stuff than I would to listen to boats riding by there at 90 miles an hour. So.
Well, you're in luck. They can't get in.
Yeah, not unless they ask me, because I got the only access in there. All right, thank you very
Thanks,
much. I
Dave.
appreciate it.
Have a good night. All right, 7:45, Snake Hill Dog Park. But we're early,
It's not.
so we have 10 minutes to go. Just in case someone read the agenda and didn't come last night, we'll do it the 10 minutes.
Can I don't know if you're interested, I put I have some plans I just wanted to show of where the area is. and
Sure.
Some of the issues. But I also just have a couple pictures of typical dog parks. I don't know if you guys are interested.
No, definitely.
Okay, while you're waiting, I'll get it up on the screen.
That's a perfect idea.
We also had a number of
Yeah, there's
questions
several
on other
comments from
things
Mark
that
that you
are
wanted
not
to-
on the agenda.
Sure. Why don't we
Mark?
start with the meeting minutes though? Why don't we'll do our,
Oh, yeah, we forgot.
we'll catch up.
Didn't expect to be early.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn this on?
Yes, please.
It's when you least expect it.
Yeah, really, what is this?
I think,
It was 77 yesterday.
77?
New house.
77.
I heard 76, so 77 is.
Well, it might have been 76 at Boston,
Yeah,
but
it was
Yeah, it was-
downtown Boston at
yeah.
76. Where was the 77?
when I left Chelmsford and I got on the highway, as I was leaving Chelmsford to get on the highway, my car said it was 77, and I immediately popped up the weather in Ayer, and it said it was 75. And I said, well, that kind of makes sense. It's always a little bit, tiny bit warmer there than it is as I head west. And it wasn't from the pavement either, because I hadn't been sitting in a parking lot
you've gotten so fast, Dave. Okay.
at the legal speed limit, but absolutely. And with my brand new inspection sticker, so. Gave the other one time to age, 8 months.
Oh, Mark, this is for you. We attended an NACC conference on Saturday at
Oh, he gets something, if I don't get something?
oh, I gave you something.
Fifth one at Holy
Maybe
Cross.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave you- it's a culvert. It's
Okay.
like- It's, you know, just
Yeah.
stuff that pamphlets, information.
I'm skipping ahead, I assume this has to do with, so last week during our meeting,
Yeah, that's the appeal.
has it been filed?
Sure looks it. He sent us 2 copies, I've got one up in the drawers.
Can you send us a,
An electronic? Yep.
So my pen is
And
around.
appeal for, oh,
those?
yep. So is it 21 days? They have 21 days to file? 10, that's right.
To appeal?
Yeah,
10 days.
10.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hey, Mark, did I show you this yet? Did I brag on this yet?
he's very proud.
I'm very proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Smug, almost. Oh, we're gonna have this.
But we wouldn't say insufferable yet.
No, but really close. We're getting there.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
When the framed piece comes back.
Yeah, once the frame piece comes
Once
back,
the framed
I'll
piece
probably
comes
shut up.
back.
What's the bill for that?
The bill's sitting right there.
Okay, there we go.
I did a good job actually on the negotiating for a carpet. So that one's gonna be for sort of field occupancy, and then a framed one for when I'm not here and somebody wants to know if we've got a wetland issue.
You're on the website?
Cindy has a PDF that size.
Yeah.
Just some shrinking.
Have you had a chance to speak to DEP about this?
Got one?
About the appeal?
No, that only came in the mail yesterday.
Okay. It's interesting, there's a statement that the land is common land owned by the association and it was never designated as a lot on the original plans reviewed by the ZBA. That's not true. There is no association. Land is not common land. It's not owned by anyone. It's owned by the developer.
Condominium association?
Yeah,
All right. I mean,
unless they've created a condominium association yesterday. There isn't one.
Still, right?
I think there is one.
they have.
There is one.
But
They
it's
have
not-
one, but it doesn't count.
It's ad hoc, it isn't formal yet, because the developer still.
Developer still owns the
Owns it.
property.
All right, so there's one technicality that didn't work out. How many technicalities has he got in there?
I just got to the
Dozens?
third paragraph. No, it makes me nervous when it represents it as saying that the land is owned by the association, because that would give the DEP the idea that the folks who were trying to develop this didn't own the property they were trying to develop, and that's not accurate. That's what it suggests, is that they're trying to develop a piece of land that they don't own, and that's not accurate.
So you want Ryan to talk to Joe Bellino?
Well, I guess my anticipation is that Joe Bellino's going to talk to us. And he's going to schedule a walk and the meeting. But certainly that would be something that we should probably bring up in case Mr. Bellino has any questions about it.
Yeah, because when they've been coming to the meetings, they've been talking about the condo association inheriting these responsibilities, and the
Right,
developer
which
is
is
25% of the association.
Well, it's completely accurate.
Yeah.
They
But it's
would
just not-
inherit those things. They just haven't
Don't
yet.
exist
It's
yet.
like waiting
Yeah.
for someone to die.
Mm. You don't have your inheritance quite yet.
Almost.
No, this is, in a manner of speaking, this is the next try. This is another topic that
Yeah.
might be mapped.
It's so pretty.
It's like a paint set.
Yes.
Paint by number. Orange is number 1. 2.
Oh, it's the same as yours, it's just
I'm just curious
one
what this
before.
is.
Orange is the dots,
Oh, okay.
which is the
Okay.
ASAC.
Yep.
ACDC.
Yep. Yep. Is that, so this is
It's
the
like
road?
fun.
Yeah.
So, is that real? Does it cross over
Yeah.
Oak Bridge in that little area there?
Yeah, there's a stream and culvert and bridge and
Yeah.
everything down there.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mark. I kind of like the dog park on the bottom left.
We'll talk about some of the design options.
We gonna get some mountains in the background.
Don't we have them?
Anticipating their,
Pingree Hill.
anticipating they're part of the project.
Is that Colorado?
I would guess that's probably Colorado.
Yeah.
I go to the dog park at my by my parents' house, which overlooks Lake Champlain.
Oh, nice.
It's really, really beautiful. But there's issues with that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to put this up, because when we were there, I was there 3 weeks or 4 weekends ago, and it was a big muddy mess.
Which one? The one in
It's at the north end of Berlin.
the north end. There's the bike trail right there
Yeah,
next to the
yeah.
dog park. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
popular
huge.
spot.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Every time I go there, there's tons and tons of people. I think there was probably 20 dogs there.
Mm.
But it does. There's definitely issues with mud and grass and.
Yeah.
It's 45.
Anybody have any comments on the 225 minutes?
They're great. Just Freddie's great with minutes, meeting minutes.
I don't know that we,
Thorough.
did we emphasize the word stupendous in jurisdictional parcels of Ayer poster?
If I speak up, I'll be insufferable, so I'm going to let that one go.
Shouldn't that be bolded? Okay. I don't have any questions. I would say I haven't heard anything from Hartzell unless he emailed today. Okay. And I'm glad we did that. We did have some. We have some other things to talk about later, Mark, which hopefully will be helpful for all of us. So, there are no changes to the minutes, I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes from 2:24? Was 2:20, sorry, 2:25.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Jess. All right. Good evening, Mr. Wetzel.
Thank you. I don't know how much the commission knows about the dog park project that we're involved with in the town.
Not elected.
So this goes back probably 2 years. We got a letter in the mail from the Stanton Foundation, which is a private foundation. Mr. Stanton was one of the original founders of CBS TV, so he, I think, had a little bit of money that he put into a foundation, and they have different charity or different groups that they give money to, and one is, and particularly in Massachusetts, they have funding for dog parks. So they offered a grant to the town of Ayer for a dog park. And so I just happened to be in the town administrator's office when he opened the envelope, and he said, "Here, take a look at this." So I started talking to the gentleman at Stanton Foundation, and decided we would submit for a grant. Actually, I went to the Parks Commission and presented to them, and they were very interested in it. So what I did was I looked at different sites in town and evaluated which one would be most appropriate. And the H1 site, which is on Snake Hill Road, I think you have the parcel H2 as conservation land, but it was originally designated for a small soccer field, but the Parks Commission wasn't interested in putting a soccer field at that location.
Right.
So they were trying to make some deal with the developer. And so I said, well, how about if we use that site? The developer owes us some work on it. There's not a lot of neighbors around, so you're not going to have that NIMBY issue, or the neighbors that are around are probably glad to have a dog park.
One of them is the railroad, so.
And, yeah, the railroad's on one side, and also the parking for that can be used for overflow for the beach also. So that was the site that we selected, but then the next roadblock was the Stanton Foundation wouldn't give us the grant until we owned the land, so then we had to go to town meeting and get Roper to transfer the land to us, or Crabtree Associates. So then once the land was transferred, there were some issues internally with the Stanton Foundation. The person I was dealing with left, and they were getting a new person up to speed. So we finally got the grant offer this fall,
That's great.
and we got a check in the mail for about $19,000 for designing the park. So I've gone out for proposals to designers. We got 3 proposals. We're interviewing them next week. And once we have a designer on board, then we'll have a public meeting and talk about what's the town want to see in a dog park. But I'll tell you right now, anybody I see with a dog, and I mention dog park, everybody's on board with this. You'll see, and I don't know whether if any of you have dogs and you go to dog parks, you go there on a Saturday morning, and
It's insane.
they're all mobbed, and it's a big social thing, and the dogs all run around and the people all talk, and it's really I think going to be nice for this community to have the dog park.
I did want to make sure that I said this first because I'm going to say it last as well. When we began discussions with Roper on Snake Hill Road where it comes down, he said, I'll put in, I don't know, a drainage area over there. And we said, okay, but we'll design it and finish it once we know what's going to happen with the park.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2003.
Yeah.
Or 2004.
And there's a little bit of that built.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'm going to have to talk with Crabtree's engineer about that, because I've been up there on different kinds of weather, and I don't see a lot of drainage going in there. So
No,
I'm
it's
not
interesting.
sure whether he needs the drainage to the extent. So
Well, the real question is then, where is it going?
I just don't think it's collecting that much drainage.
Well, it's coming down that hill,
It's coming down Snake Hill Road. Yeah, I don't
but
know.
to where?
So I'll talk to Mulaney and see what what's going on with that. But just so that you know, so that everybody here is familiar with it, so here's the parcel H. The railroad tracks are here, Snake Hill Road's here going up to Pingree, and then this is the conservation parcel H. So we're surrounded by that. And then there is a big drainage easement that kind of abuts the property.
Right, and it was going to end up being part of the soccer field. Remember that some of those original soccer field
Right.
designs had the bottom corner of the soccer field was excess water storage?
Right, so then this
right
is
there.
the design. So we've got the parking here, which in the dog park would stay the same, the parking. And then one of the things I wanted to talk to the commission about was, are we limited to this square, or can we kind of use some of this drainage easement area as long as we have drainage as part of the design?
Well, I guess so.
I think you could make a nice square dog park, but it would be kind of nice to have some rounded edges or an irregular shape.
I guess the only real question is, so I haven't walked down there, other than I think we've been in the fall. I don't think I've ever walked down there when it was damp. But every one of those pictures features water in it, and I'm assuming if there's water, there's mud. So
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that if people bring their dogs to a dog park, the expectation is the dogs come away dirty, and so I don't know that a drainage easement area would be that bad of a thing. And not to mention, I don't remember there being a system over there to get back in the woods. So. Was there a wetlands system back there?
The wetlands are sort of along here.
Yeah, we walked our piece of it and it was pretty wet that day.
Yeah, so it does get wet down in the sort of through the middle of parcel H towards the back.
And then that loops down to where the fellow with the wood shop is.
No, absolutely. No, that I remember. I just mean, no, you're all right.
Yeah.
What I was thinking of, though, was as you get closer to the tracks, it was dry. Because
Yes.
remember, we walked
Yeah,
down
this
the
is-
tracks to come in.
This
remember?
is all upland. It's pretty dry.
Yeah.
He hasn't done a lot of. He's done some clearing and some grubbing, but no grading. And I think there's still some clearing that has to go between the tracks and the property.
Yeah, I don't think he cleared the red, rectangular area that you've got selected there. I don't think that's all cleared right now.
No.
So,
As we start the design process, I just wanted to see if there was a little bit of leeway on the parcel H1 and the drainage easement when we look at some different options. Obviously, we need to make sure that there's proper drainage for the parking area and the site. When I did the cost estimate, I put in, and I'll show you a picture of it. You can see there's a little water feature down in the lower left corner, which I think would be really cool to put in, and I put that in the budget.
wait a second. Hold on. Am I looking at the right
The
thing?
lower left,
The red.
the red hydrant.
Well, oh yeah, no, I didn't. That map is not a map of your.
No.
proposed
That was
area.
just I was
Yeah,
just
no,
going to show you sort of
Sure.
the general what we would have a walking path around and some other features with benches and trees and generally you have a small dog area and a big dog area. I don't think I've ever seen a small dog in small dog areas. They like to be with the big boys.
Would this be fenced?
It would definitely be fenced.
Yeah.
You can see, I would guess we would probably have a fence like in the upper right corner where it's a black chain link fence. I think the metal fences are a little, probably a little expensive. And it would basically be self-maintained to a certain extent. And then between the Parks Department and the DPW, we would come up with a maintenance program. One of the other things that tends to be recommended is to have an irrigation system in it, not necessarily to water the grass, but to rinse it down, because you will have dogs peeing and pooping, and so even if people pick it up, it still gets to be a little dirty. So every once in a while, you may want to give it a
Would you
We can
have,
put a
Yeah.
sign up and tell them that, they have to wait till they get home.
yeah, would you put like a dispenser for poop
Oh,
bags?
yeah. And, you know,
Just for the dogs.
and one of the things we talked about, and I don't know how commercially available they are, but they have anaerobic digesters that you can put the poop bags in, and it just creates gas and fizzling.
Nice.
One of the other things I wanted to point out
Stepping
here
back.
is, and I have them on both of these, some of the parks that I've been to don't have grass. Some have wood chips, and the wood chips are okay. The grass, like I said, tends to be muddy. You know, the one over on the lower left with the hydrant, that grass there is either painted in or they
It's
just
AstroTurf.
barely put the turf
That's
down.
turf. That's
Um,
AstroTurf.
And I don't know if you want turf out there because I think it's pretty hot on the dog's paws. But what a lot of them are doing is going with a pea gravel or like a crushed granite. It's easy to keep clean and it's easy to maintain. It might be a little rough. I've heard people say it's a little rough on the dogs, but that's why we'll have an expert designing it and they'll give us some options.
Well, and I know Takashi's dying to ask you a question, but, I wonder if that drainage area,
Yeah.
one of the things that might be important to figure out right off the bat is how moist does it stay?
Yeah.
That might be an area that
And
would be good
the-
for grass,
right,
and
yeah.
you wouldn't have to worry about keeping it up. Especially if you go to that picture again, please, where you've got the two areas that are kind of separate.
Yeah.
You could have an area that was for big dogs or
Yeah.
dogs to run around, play frisbee, etc. In that grassy area that was part of that drainage
Mhm.
easement. And yes, it's wet some parts of the year, and no, it's not others.
I take my dog into my town forest. It's not fenced, but it's a big, big area, and I'll tell you, every dog in there goes right for the Ipswich River. Even my dog was swimming yesterday, and so they.
My son swam in Mirror Lake yesterday, so it's not limited to dogs. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one expression.
Do you have a sense of general area of the size of it?
Well, we're looking at the parcel is a 1 acre parcel, so I would think it would be about an acre in size.
Is that with the parking lot?
Yeah.
What
I like I said, if we could encroach a little bit out, it would be
Right.
nice to make it a little bit bigger. But I think we're pretty stuck with the topography, setbacks from the wetlands, and things like that. So
What was that? And I'm dying to let you go. What was that parcel in the corner that he was always trying to give away? Rick was trying to give away on the
is that up here?
that one right there. Whatever that is, lot 114.
Oh, I don't know. There's a drainage easement on that, but I think that's
There's a basin there of
Basin,
some
yeah.
sort,
Yeah.
or either a basin or a low area.
It says a water quality inlet. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of wetlands in that area too.
No, there
so-
definitely are. I guess my
That's the drainage from across the street, isn't it?
well, and that's where it gets interesting, right? So there's that area. Hey, Jeff. There's that area, and then farther down is where I'm just going to call it a trench because that's what they dug. There's a trench that goes in right where that where the drainage easement wet area is, pretty much. So somewhere right around there, Mark, is that
Yeah,
trench that he
yeah,
dug,
Yeah.
and then farther toward the Snake Hill Road, it's labeled as Street A. On lot 114 is a
Right.
low area that was probably always a low area off of Snake Hill Road. It just makes you wonder if there was a way he had offered that to the town. This might be one of those times when it might actually be a benefit and have the water, whatever is coming out of the drainage, redirected in that
Coming
area,
out.
and therefore open up your parking
Yeah.
area a little bit more.
Yeah, let me talk to Steve Mulaney about that and get his thoughts. He knows more about all the drainage in here than anybody else.
Yeah, he certainly does.
So
So, I'm sorry, Takashi, you were dying to ask something.
Yeah, so that was one of my questions, so
Oh.
thanks for that. The drainage easement, so that's on H2, or what? I
it's
guess
primarily it's a little bit on H1,
Okay,
but it's primarily on H2.
okay, and is there an actual, is there like a document associated with that spells out what can and can't be done?
Oh, you mean as far as the drainage
On the-
easement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that
I
has
don't.
been done or not.
Yeah, I just
I wouldn't think so
Look at
because
that.
Crabtree's plan the whole time was to deed that parcel to the town. It was some sort of probably zoning or planning requirement that he had to provide a piece of land out of the project. And he opted to provide that one because obviously he didn't want to put a house next to the railroad tracks. Okay, so that was listed as having a drainage easement, but you remember there was no design for how the water would come off the road. So when he put that pipe in, he just dug that trench and said that'll be good enough until I remember him saying it, until the town figures out what they want to do with this piece of land. The expression drainage easement on there is a lot like paper street. I don't think it's an easement.
I think it just
Dedicated
designates
anywhere.
an area to do the
Right.
work
Okay,
in.
that's,
Yeah.
He does show on here that basically he's taking the drainage from just above, I think this is Fox Run, just above Fox Run down to just above, or just below, so it's picking up to, yeah, it's just got 4 catch basins.
I
I
have to
don't
tell you though,
know
I
if-
don't think I
yeah.
ever saw water
I-
standing
yeah.
in that trench. I don't think ever. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where it's going.
I think it's probably going into the natural system.
I think it is too, yeah.
I would assume as well, but I don't remember him putting a pipe in there. I think he's got a structure in there, doesn't he? Does he have a structure in there?
It's supposed to be, I haven't gone actually in there and looked, but it shows a drain pipe coming out with it.
Right. No, there's definitely a drain pipe coming out. That's why he dug the
And
trench.
there is the first forebay is
Yeah.
constructed, but there's nothing else out there.
I'm just going to say trench because it's a
Yeah,
trench.
yeah.
It was 4 scoops wide and 2 scoops
Right,
deep.
yeah.
So,
And then a split.
be good. I would just say that if there was some way to incorporate all the drainage in one place and give you more parking area, that'd be great. And so it also brings up the question, so that H2 property, which you have a better plan that shows the 2 parcels. Is the wetland delineated on that or not?
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the my H1 parcel.
Right.
And the rest is in the wetlands are
Pretty much everything else behind you.
kind of coming through here. And the drainage easement kind of runs like this.
Well, speaking for myself, I would be interested to find out more about the drainage easement and what part it played in the calculations that Mulaney did for the parcel.
Yeah,
the project.
Steve will fill me in on it.
Oh, of course.
He knows all this stuff, so I can just find out from him on
Well,
that.
what-
Drain.
Sure. So where I'm headed with that is that a part of an area up front there that could be used, that is part of the drainage easement, is on H2. The H2 parcel that, is it H2 or H4? H2. Part of the H2
H2,
parcel. And
So this area up here.
right. And so, I guess my question would be, what are our rights under, it's not conservation property that was deeded to us, it was property that was deeded to the town in our care, correct? I guess I'd want to
Using
read,
part of H2? Or
no, remember H2 was part of the settlement that Roper had with EPA.
EPA?
And so that parcel was given to us.
Right.
That's my recollection.
Yeah.
So if that parcel was given to us, and of course, most of it's wet, or the access is wet, but there's a chunk of it at the beginning that would sure be great if there was a way we could use it to, add to the front part of the dog park to, I mean, your biggest problem you're going to run into undoubtedly on Saturday morning is where do you put your car? So they're not all parked up and down the street. And also, I'm sure it's a really important thing to have a safe parking area where people can take their dogs out and walk over to the gate.
Yeah.
And,
And it needs to be handicap accessible.
Sure.
And,
So you're suggesting using part of H2 to add to the dog
if we
park?
I
possibly
am.
can.
It really, the only question is, what does drainage easement mean?
Yeah. So what we'll do,
the
the way the process is once we hire a designer, then we'll come up with some different alternatives. I think I have in the scope of work that they have to do 2 alternative layouts. So while we're doing that, we'll find out what the restrictions are and
Sure.
what the ultimate drainage design would be also, and then we can incorporate that into the alternatives.
That would be great. I mean,
The
and-
Conservation Commission will be kept up to date through this process because obviously we have some wetlands permitting we're going to have to do.
Sure.
And also, it's important since you're part owner.
Your neighbor. It would be great to find a way to not only use the existing drainage, but also anything off that parking area to go into that lot 114. So that might be a big help
Right,
for you to
yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
And he was trying to give it to the town.
Yeah, it was turned down because nobody felt it was any use to the town.
Right. Well, we
Now
had
there
that.
might be a use.
Mm.
Yeah.
We had that first discussion when then Suhasky was town administrator. So.
Well, my feeling is you don't ever turn down someone giving you land.
Well, in this particular case, the parcel was standalone, and at the time was clearly a way to stop paying taxes on it, which made sense for him, of course. I probably would have asked the same thing, but
Now, this parcel at the end here, it says Matheson Family Trust. Is that still under a trust, or is that?
no, I believe that
town
is when we there was a. During the whole EPA settlement, there was a discussion about what land was owned back there. In fact, I remember us standing around looking at the plan, saying, "Who?" Remember that? And I think Roper told us that the Matson Family Trust, that was part of the that land was part of the original piece of land that was owned, the whole Crabtree development, and those folks retained that piece of land. Does that sound about right? Your recollection? If I remember correctly, he said that those folks just never sold.
Okay.
And
I just was wondering because I know that we own a number of that he's gifted the town a number of parcels
sure.
in there, and was trying to figure out if there was a way we could link them with a trail.
Well,
And you do have
with a
wetlands
suspension
here,
bridge.
but well, I don't know how wet it is. I mean, I've done boardwalks through wetlands as long as it's not standing water, which I'll mention
Wow.
another one of my crazy ideas that I have. But,
No, that's a very interesting question.
That partial COC that came through the other day,
Okay.
is that back here?
No.
Yeah.
That's further over this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No. On the other, it's off one of the other roads altogether.
Yeah, it's the next road. You go down to the corner where the wood shop is, and it's the next road. And so that wetland, as it winds around and comes back down.
Yes. Well,
It's on the other side of the tracks.
right. That's not that one there. I don't think that. I think that wetland is. It's not contiguous to the other wetlands. I believe it ends on that H2 property. I don't think it keeps going.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it. I think that area terminates over into the stream. So here's Littleton Road. Here's Snake Hill. Here's where we're talking about. And unfortunately, the railroad tracks are through here. Hard to see, but it's this green area right here.
Yeah. The blob where road is.
Right. Where Snake is.
Oh, we're over there.
Yep.
Oh.
So we're way down here
Yeah,
toward
I'm
the
off
tracks.
by a lot.
Yep. And then you've got the other wetland area that wraps all in behind.
Yeah. I'm in the wrong wetland.
No. Mark, so it shows it as being flagged onto that parcel. Is there a space behind the wetland that's on H2? Is that what you were thinking of?
it looks like, and I'm not really studying this, but it looks like there's a wetland that goes through here, and there's a little finger here.
Yes.
And that if you bridged this piece to
You'd
the
have more
uplands, you
space.
would be able to get into this parcel. There is some upland along here, but I don't know who wants to walk along a railroad track very much.
Well, I know who will tell you can't, but yes. I guess the only so I love the idea. I do think that a big long park would be a lot more expensive to fence than a
Oh,
short,
I know. I'm just
squat one.
saying that this wouldn't be part of the park. But if we wanted to have a trail extension so people could park here and then go for a hike also.
Yeah.
Or, like my dog, I take him off leash in woods all the time. So
Sure.
you could also have an off leash.
The only thing we might want to do for that.
Well, I don't know. It depends on this parcel here, because I think the town, I was just looking, it's not on my iPad, but I think the town owns the next parcel over, and that's contiguous up to the new water tank.
And I think that's,
Isn't that parcel now landlocked since we got H2?
That might be where the squatter is living. Is this on?
I don't think.
No, I don't know. I just, someone had brought up that there was someone that was living in the woods behind Fox Run, and I don't know if that's true or not.
well, to that end, so we would definitely be interested in talking about a valid use for that parcel. And so before we go too far, does anybody have any problem with, so we've all been on trails out in the woods, and there are frequently wet areas where there are boardwalks that pass through. Does anyone have an organic issue with a boardwalk through a wetland area?
No.
Mm-mm.
We need to know more.
I see. So yes.
But then,
Yeah, the details and the devil.
Details, right.
So
Yeah, well, I've designed for my town, I've designed a number of boardwalks that go through wetlands, but it's, there might be a flowing stream through there that we put a bridge over, but the rest of it's basically, maybe 2 feet off the ground at the most. And,
Is it more like bog than kind of?
yeah.
well,
and
the
it's,
other
and it's more certain times of the year. There
Yeah.
might be standing water there in the spring, but it's if you had a trail through it, it would end up being a big muddy mess probably most of the year.
I mean, there's some great examples up in New Hampshire. I don't know if there's these bogs where there's many trails with,
Yeah.
they're all, boardwalks.
It's and there's
So-
different ways you can do the foundations. Whether
right.
we started using these what they call them diamond piers, and they're basically these concrete diamond shaped piers, and you set those down and then you drive galvanized steel pipes in that spread out and stabilize it.
Interesting.
And but if you're pretty far in the woods, it's a lot of work to get those big diamond piers in. And believe me, because I carried in a bunch of them. So we came up with, and actually I think we stole the idea from Acton, where you use PVC drainage pipe, and you lay that down. And then you
The
build
accordion black tube.
yeah, and then you put the decking on top of
It's
that.
like a floating bridge.
Yeah,
And
floating bridge.
it's not really floating because it's
You gotta
open,
pass
but
through.
it's got a pass through so water can go through, but it also it's got enough surface area so it's pretty stable.
Sure.
So,
And so, it's funny. So one of the first things that we all think about, the encroachment in the wetland, you're talking about foot traffic. So you're talking about people and dogs walking on planks that go through the area. And my dog will run through the wetland. I'm not going to pretend that she won't. While the other one goes along on the wood and looks down at her and is like, ooh. What? But absolutely, it's not as invasive as you might think. After the planks are in, everyone will stay on the planks because it means you don't have to get all muddy. So it's usually very simple. Except the dogs, who will get muddy on purpose.
Yeah, then you just build it higher.
We can also put up signs, tick infested area, don't go off
Oh,
boardwalk.
we're going to put that sign up anyway. But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you'd want to.
Right.
Zika virus.
Zika virus.
Ebola.
Is that Chickamauga?
Ebola.
Chickamauga.
Chickamauga.
Chicken Ebola. Chickamauga. Yeah.
I had
So-
a picture of my dog running on the boardwalk, but
So it sounds very exciting. So you're close to awarding the design?
yeah, probably by the end of next week we'll pick a designer, and I'll tell you, being on a consultant, I was on that side of the fence a lot, and so yeah, all 3 proposals we got were super, and so we're gonna have a tough decision, but anyone.
But you won't lose. That's what matters. All right.
So anyway, and that reminded me of something that and Jess was kind of pointing out also. We have a project that hopefully is going to be voted in a town meeting to put in a water main extension from the end of Wright Road, and actually the developer Kohler Place has extended it down
Oh, yeah.
to the end of his property, and then we'll go across that inlet to Sandy Pond
Sure.
with directional drill under that so that we don't have any environmental impacts, and then
Great.
come out to Sandy Pond Road. And as we were down there this winter, and obviously it's a little easier, it wasn't quite frozen when we were there, but it was easier to walk around out there. I said, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have a trail through here? And but it would require some sort of a boardwalk over the inlet, which would be pretty substantial.
Right.
But
And it would impede kayaking.
and I don't know if people go up there. I didn't know how shallow that is.
We do.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. I thought it was more of a. I mean, there was water there when we were there, but I wasn't sure how deep that water was because it doesn't really show as water on the map.
So have you ever kayaked in Sandy Pond in that corner?
No.
So you can go about, I'd even say, when the water's high, you can go about 200 feet in.
Used to be
And-
more, but there are more beaver dams there. now.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, what you end up doing is you have to come up and get to the beaver dam and wiggle your way over it.
Oh,
Most of them are
right,
very,
okay.
most of them are very short. You wiggle your way over the beaver dam, you get into the next section and keep on going. And we've been in there many times where all of a sudden we hear someone go, oh, and you realize that you just block someone in because it's one kayak wide. But
So I just, that was just kind of my crazy idea is if we're going to put in a water main and we're going to have an easement, that maybe we try to see if there's some way we could put a trail through and then you have the ability to walk all the way around the pond. So people like to walk around ponds.
I will tell you, it's interesting. There's an awful lot of wildlife that hides out back there behind
Yeah,
Franny Callahan's house.
Yeah.
And so,
If you did something like that, it would definitely have to be consider wildlife, kayak, fish, things like that. But so I don't know whether that's feasible at all or not. But I just kind of said, gee, while we're designing this, let's keep that in the back of our mind because there is money, there is trail money at the state, and the snowmobilers take most of it. But
well, it does bring up the interesting question too. What would we end up? We'd have to work something out with the folks that did Kohler Place.
right. Well, he's gonna, and I talked to him about that, and that's one of the other issues is that the only, if you walk down to the end of Kohler Place where the water main is, you'd be walking through someone's yard. And so I said, well, maybe we could get an easement on the back part of the property so that people aren't walking through there. But I just really briefly talked with AJ about that. So again, I don't even know if it's feasible to do, but I just thought, why don't we think about it while we're doing the water main and see if it's something we can work in.
Well, and that's great for you that you can make that connection with the water main. That's got to help a lot because that whole area has been stuck forever, right?
That's probably where I get most of my dirty water complaints now.
Really?
Is it you?
Are you on a well? I know some of the people down there. I know Carolyn's on a private,
Yeah,
on
no,
a
I'm
normal
on
well.
town water.
Then you'd actually
We were
be
there
about
across the
the
street from
farthest
Carolyn.
point
Carolyn.
possible, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Cleaning toilets like every day.
Well, one of the issues that actually, we keep talking about it and we don't get a lot of traction on it. One of the problems there is that it's hard to flush the hydrants
Yeah, of
hard
Yeah.
Right.
because there's no place for the water to go. So we do kind of shoot it out into the pond, but you don't want to shoot all that rusty water into the pond because then the pond becomes rusty.
Thought about buying everyone darker colored toilets?
So we're looking at is there some way we can have like the first flush would go into a frac tank,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and then we could go and dump that up at Stratton Hill.
Remember November 12th? Remember you guys were shutting off the water along Wright Road because you were working on that.
Oh, where
something on,
there's
Snake Hill Road.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a log that you have? What is this?
No, I've always just kept this. And so, the water was going to be shut off
Yeah.
all day. And so, you fill your bathtub so you
Yeah.
can flush your toilet. And if you remember, this was the water that I filled my bathtub with that morning.
That's not too bad.
No,
This
it's
is-
the before.
This is the same water about 11 hours later.
Oxidized.
Yeah.
Little,
If you had taken that
Little iron
water
in
and
it.
put a drop of Clorox in it, would turn like that instantly. It's
Really,
yeah.
you would turn that color into
Yeah.
Maybe you had like Clorox residue.
Yeah. on your.
Yeah, so that's what we do when we treat the water at the treatment plant is we add chlorine and another chemical called potassium permanganate. And what that basically does is exactly what happened there. It oxidizes so the iron is dissolved in the water.
Right.
And but it's interesting that it's like that because generally we have no iron coming out of our plants.
Yeah.
It's picking up iron
Old pipes.
as it goes through the pipes, and
Yes,
and it's usually not in the soluble state when it gets picked up in
Yes,
the
it
plants,
is.
but it's
Very interesting.
Well, that's funny because up on Brilena, at the house up there, it's well water. And in the spring, when the water level comes up, the water comes out and there's a lot more iron in the water, and then the water level drops down and the iron level goes away. So every single year, I end up replacing that filter sometime in April or May, and it's just packed full after a winter of clear water.
We had I replaced the water main 2 years ago up on Upper Pleasant Street, and they were the top complainers before you guys. So that's why they got the new pipe.
Nice work.
No. I should say you before your
Way to step out of number 2 into number 1.
My late neighbor was.
He's the winner.
Yeah. He used to stop to see me quite often too. So
Used to collect T-shirts in various states of Washington.
Oh yeah,
And,
Pleasant.
but Pleasant Street, so we put a new pipe in Pleasant Street, and the people just rave about how good the water is. It's really interesting how just the inside of the pipe makes such a difference.
When you do when you're thinking about the directional drilling to extend the water main, when were you thinking of trying to do that?
As late in the season as we can when the groundwater.
Like this next year, like before they start doing houses in Kohler Place? Or?
Yeah, because he's got the water main out of Kohler Place, so,
Right.
so it depends on. Once we start engineering it, we have to talk to the contractors about which side they want to come from. It's not easy to get in from the other side.
Right.
We do have a little
Is that
wetland we
right?
have to
Yeah.
cross.
It's a-
And that one I would probably file with the commission to open cut that because it's not very much wetland, and he can probably reach that from Sandy Pond Road.
Behind Franny's house? Or-
Right across from Patriot Place.
Okay.
Patriot
Yeah,
Way.
the area where the stone wall ends.
There's a little piece of wetland where AJ's property comes out on.
Right.
on Sandy Pond.
That's
Now,
we did that cut through the road to dump
Yeah.
into that area.
Yeah.
So that would be the area we'd probably not want to directional drill that. We'd probably just open trench it because they'll be in and out of there in a day.
Right.
It's probably a couple lengths of pipe. And I don't know whether you guys have had involvement where you do put pipes in wetlands, but you come back a month later and you can't tell that they did anything because it just grows so quickly, just restores really quickly. We have them separate out the material, the top material, and then put that
Right.
back.
Yeah.
No, that kind of application seems very simple and quick.
It's just
Obviously
really tricky getting out there.
yes.
He might have to go through the abutting property there, which is, I think, Ed Cornelius.
Is that Ed's on the other side too?
I think he owns from Patriot, if you went straight off of Patriot Way,
Yeah.
I think he owns the property on the west side.
You know what? He absolutely does, because remember when when he did Patriot Place and the water built up in that wetland behind in that little depression behind the new lot that got just finished. He did he got sign off to do the pipe cut through, and it was okay because it was his property on the other side of the road.
Is this the
Remember
two
that?
A&Rs or?
Yeah.
Yes.
And have you noticed I think there's a for sale sign right along there? I've seen something on that side of the road,
Could be.
but it looked like more the wetland area.
Yeah. Well, AJ owns that, so he
Right.
bought the property that comes all the way down, but there's another, the abutting parcel is still owned by Sandy Pond Associates, which is, I think, Ed
Right,
Cornelius.
so I was trying to
Was
figure
Ed
out
and Franny.
what the
Yeah.
for sale sign was for, because I can't
Yeah,
imagine
I don't
anybody
know.
would buy the wetland part.
Yeah.
Somebody could buy it just because it's pretty.
True.
All right. Well, any other dog park news that we should
No.
talk about before we move on? So one
No,
of the
but we will be having a public meeting probably early April upstairs bring your dog.
Dog-friendly meeting.
Careful.
My
Are we
dog comes
replacing the
here all
carpets? One of the items that came up, and it was disappointing to us, during our last 2 hearings ago, we heard from Calvin about the solar area that he wants to do over off Rosewood. And unfortunately, your comments came in the day after we heard him on the 11th or whatever it was. And so the clear complication there is that we would have certainly loved to have had your comment. There was one specific, which was with regard to the stone curtain, the trench around the site. You said it needed to be redesigned because it could silt up. And so I was disappointed that we didn't have the benefit of your idea before that.
Had he filed with the
It was an RDA
It's
for
two
the end of
parts.
Rosewood? Oh,
For-
for the solar.
for the solar portion.
Okay,
So he wanted to get that part underway.
yeah.
I won't make any guesses about why, but he needed to get one part of it going so that he could then come to you with the second part, which is the road off of the end of Rosewood to connect to the
He
park.
submitted both of those to the planning
Correct.
board. At
But
the
he's
same-
only come to us with one.
with one, yeah.
He's got the NOI still.
But I don't think he can do anything with the solar.
He can't do
until
anything at all.
he
We
gets
actually discussed.
until he gets Rosewood.
Right, he
access.
can't do anything until he gets his access. So, it reminded me of other communities like Waltham, where they have I think Waltham has a 371-step process to sign off on a permit. You pick 250 residents, and then you go through the police department, fire department, everybody, literally every single department signs off. So that didn't seem like their best idea for us. But what did seem to make sense is because we now have a town engineer and yourself, 2 very capable people, seemed to make sense that if you were okay with it, love to get Gabe involved as well and say that applications before the boards would have an appeal period, or excuse me, a comment period like they do, but for us as well. Embrace the situation that the
Yeah.
planning board is using.
Yes, and I think ZBA does the same thing. I get a form from them that, with the information, and some of the times it's just, I look at it and I go, yeah, no issues.
Right.
But if with your notice of intent and RDAs, then definitely you could have a similar form and send it along.
It would be great. I mean, as you know, a typical application gets applied on the 1st, and we hear them sometime between the 14th and the 30th. And our first meeting is always to discuss the project and then to have a site walk. We wouldn't even have to change the term at all. We would say that upon application, it would be filed over to you, and that we would, that we wouldn't make a final decision before you and the town engineer had passed the comment period. That wouldn't even harm the process. Yes, dear.
And we're going to be talking about updating the bylaw shortly.
Right.
And I was looking today at the MACC's model bylaw,
Oh.
and it had, and I got quite excited reading this. It had this section here on coordination with other boards.
And a lot of, there are a lot of towns that use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea,
Yeah,
although
yeah.
quite frankly, I would rather that they provide us copies that we distribute
Mm-hmm.
to the other boards, because there'll be times when it doesn't make sense to send it to the Board of Health, and other
Oh,
times when it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's just their wording.
Yeah, no. So
But
the
I like the
wording
thing where
is,
they say, like 14 days of comment
Right.
period.
the commission shall not take final action until the above boards and officials have had 14 days from receipt of notice.
Right,
And that would actually fit inside of our time frame.
yeah.
Every single NOI has a site walk. So this one was produced as an RDA. I wouldn't have any problem during the next part of that process indicating that, that due to comments that we had originally that we'd like to see as a friendly amendment prior to us, going through and finalizing the NOI process, that we saw, revised trench detail. And I can't imagine, they're not going to have it in the ground. It's not going to hurt them to revise that detail before they get started. Do you have thoughts on what you would do different about their trench?
I do, but I can't remember what they were.
Sure.
I think that they needed bigger stone, and they need to wrap it. I think that was the big issue.
So I had the same thought with the wrap, and we talked about a pipe,
Yeah.
but then our argument was that we weren't trying to duct the water anywhere. We were just trying to take advantage of the natural
Yeah.
slope and just slow it down, if
Yeah,
you will.
exactly.
But you're right, it'll,
I think if I remember right, I thought it was a little fine grade of stone.
yeah, I don't remember if they're just
And,
3/4 crush or,
Yeah, it was something like that. It wasn't very big, and in the top layer of that. So you may even want to grade it, but you want to have some fairly large, 1.5 to 2 inch on the top, so that it's easier to maintain.
and if nothing else, it doesn't wash away.
Yeah.
So basically what we were hoping was exactly what we're talking about, is that as long as it's not too big of a burden, I think here's an example. How many NOIs did we have last year? You just did the report.
I didn't put numbers in.
5 or 6? Yeah, so we, a very small number that would fall
Yeah.
to be reviewed. So-
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. So like I said, some of them we're reviewing anyway for the planning board for site plan review.
Sure.
And looking at stormwater management, which is a big part of it. We spent a lot of time on the stormwater management for the new gas station.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I'm still not convinced.
Now, how does this still line up with what Cindy's doing?
Mhm.
Because the online permitting, the way you can stack
That's pretty cool.
approvals.
I haven't seen any of the online permitting, so. One of the other things that I think
Yes.
that we need to start looking at townwide, we've done it on a couple projects, is having a preliminary all-department meeting with the building, DPW, planning board, conservation, and kind of throw all the issues out before any submittals start, or permits start coming in.
No, I think,
Those were will.
Do they
It
do
can
that in
be.
Groton?
In Groton.
Yeah.
The difference is we have full-time staff.
Two,
What's that?
Yeah.
right? You got yourself and the assistant.
No. Well, I mean, we have a full-time planner. I'm full-time, so.
Oh, but don't you have a full-time helper too?
it's like a
None of my own.
like a kingdom
I have
over
like
there.
1% of the time.
Just wear crowns and walk around. That's unbelievable. So as long as you're amenable, thank you
Yeah.
very much. So
One other thing I'll ask for is full-size plans. I
absolutely.
get these half-sizes, and I'm trying to say, what is that contour? Sometimes they send me PDFs, which is nice.
Well, it's nice right until you have to print them, but yeah.
Well, I can plot them. I have a plotter, but you can zoom right in on
Yeah,
stuff.
oh, yeah.
and,
Oh, yeah, no,
get
no.
a good view of it, so it helps a lot.
That's how we do everything now. Yes.
When we were talking about asking other departments for comments, you had wanted to ask Mark if he had a suggestion for a cutoff size, because obviously a little.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Well, and that's where I think, so that's where I think the smart money is on, we pass the plans on for comment.
Okay.
So in other words, the applicant submits the drawings and then we choose whether they go for comment or not. So it could even be to the point where you get a PDF, you email it over to Mark and you say, I'm not sure, but I don't think this is anything you'd want to look at. And Mark takes 5 seconds, looks at it on the computer, emails you back and says, nope. So the more I think about it, I don't know that we want to have a hard and fast rule as to cutoff. Because we could end up with someone who wants to put a house at the end of a very long driveway in a very tough spot, and we want to talk to Mark because we're not sure how it's going to interact with his other roadway.
Yeah.
So, because let's face it, even that Kohler Place, that road dips down before it comes back up again.
Yeah.
Okay, what's happening there? So, if I was a DPW superintendent, I'd certainly want to know.
Yeah.
So, kind of our guide is more conservative. If we're not sure, ask. That would be my take.
On the Rosewood area, a resident came into, I think, our last meeting.
Yes, you listed her as unexpected visitor or something.
Unexpected visitor.
I
Unscheduled
think Brian
discussion.
sent me a quote from.
And she was
or-
also talking about,
Paraphrase.
Yeah.
Paraphrase.
and she was talking about beavers having been trapped there, and
We trapped some 2 years ago. We did not trap, DPW didn't trap any this year.
Yeah.
Our trapper went down there and looked and said, he says that he didn't see any visible beaver activity.
Yeah.
So we were having problems in our spec pond well.
She was also concerned that they wanted to drain the wetland entirely and.
For what it's
destroy
worth,
the
we had a
other-
long discussion, so you don't even have to. We
Well-
had a long discussion about what the intention was, about what the sewer main that runs through and the necessity of exposing that, and how we had meetings on site and talked about how the intention was to bring the level down so that that was exposed, so that you could do work on it and maintain it and take care of it properly, and that the intention was not to drain the entire wetland. That wasn't our intention at all.
Right, and we have not figured out what we need to do, how much we need to drop the water.
Right.
We did just get the DPW boat, so we can go out and check it now.
Well, we told her that. We said that the first step was to figure out how low the water had to go so that we'd know what to do.
And one of the issues is that's the sewer for the hospital.
Of course it is.
So if we have a problem out there, the hospital's got a problem. And we can't bypass it because we don't know where we can't, usually if you have a problem in a pipe, you pump from one manhole to the next, but we can't get to 3 manholes. So,
Boy,
Can manhole covers ever be raised?
so that's one of the things we would do is we would look at
Yeah.
building the manhole
Yeah.
up higher so it's out of the water if it becomes an issue. But I looked back in the design drawings and that was just a brook running through there. I think there was a little pond on the other side of the brook, opposite from where our sewer easement is.
Mhm.
But our sewer easement was all on uplands. It didn't show wetlands or anything back then, but it was just run alongside a brook.
No, it's it's definitely an interesting little spot. So
And what's interesting too is 'cause I was at the planning board meeting. It was by mistake. I had a meeting with Parks Commission. Parks meets at 7:30, and so I got here at 7, and I was sitting in the back, and they said, "Oh, are you here for the hearing?" And I says, "No, I'm just here for entertainment." And we started talking about the sewer, and it was interesting because most of the people there wanted the pond; they didn't want it drained. But I've talked to the abutters on Rosewood, and they're like, "Get that out of there! Our yard's getting smaller and smaller." So there's
well, that beaver dam
plus-
that's back there. Remember, we walked down beside it. It's got to be 6-7 feet tall.
yeah, it's a big, pretty big.
You know, it's not a.
And
So the real question is, what happens if it fails anyway? Also, where's all that water going to go?
it's going to wash out Groton School Road.
Yeah, I guess it would probably end up down there.
That's,
Well,
well,
that's-
actually, I talked to Mike, and he was going to put in a beaver deceiver, and then he got busy, and I got busy, and we just never got around to doing it last spring. So
Well, we needed that height, right? That was the thing he wanted most. Was what height did you want to set it at? Remember, we were talking about setting it at.
Yeah, but we were setting it down. I think I'd given him a general idea of how much, and it was about as he had looked at how low could he go.
Sure.
And,
Well, you've got the new DPW fishing boat.
So, but we have I don't know if I'd fish in it. We have the old fire rescue boat. They got a new one.
Well, I bet somebody'd fish in it.
We're having him come here to look at the 2 beaver deceiver areas on West Main. Maybe you'd want to touch base with him then while he's in the area again.
Okay.
Well, and I guess the other question was, with regard to that, Moore and his team were talking about their bridge/access to their space, and they indicated that they had, talked about what would have to happen in that area, and clearly the beaver dam can't stay
Right.
because you
So
can't
they
build
were
on it.
they were designing it with, I believe, 2 36-inch culverts. There was 2 large culverts under the road.
So would they? So actually, there's an interesting question, and this is I was all excited to hear how this is going to happen. Are they going to sheet the inside of the dam, take the dam out so it leaves the water, build their bridge, put their culvert pipes in, and then take the sheeting out? How are they going to retain the pond?
I don't think they're planning on retaining the pond.
Well, I think the plan is that I don't think there was any discussion about the pond going away. So
No, and I raised those questions on making sure that they set the grades properly so that it got our sewer pipe down.
So
but-
remember when we came off the end of Rosewood and we walked down to where the beaver dam was, and you could pretty much walk across it,
Yeah,
substantial beaver
Right,
dam.
right.
And then we walked down around and we stood under it, and it was 6 or so feet tall.
Right.
So that's where Moore wants to put his access, to go to the other side of the property. So clearly the dam can't be there unless he builds a bridge over the dam.
Gotcha.
So the question is, what does that access look like? Which is why
Yeah.
the question during the last meeting was, what's this going to look like? And the answer was, oh, don't worry about that. We'll be coming back to you with an NOI.
But so that, would that drain that wetland then?
Well, if there were big culvert pipes in
it
it,
would,
there,
it would lower the level of that pond. Now, to what level do you lower it? I would like to see it lowered to at least half a foot below my manholes.
but of course that also brings up the other question. So what is he going to do to build that? Because the only two ways to do it are to open it up and let it drain out and build your bridge and let it fill back up again, or protect it in such a way that it doesn't all drain out, build your bridge, and then remove the protection.
Yeah.
So the only way I know to do that is sheeting,
Yeah.
at least easily anyway. So that's where it's going to be tricky, and obviously there'll be different
tuned.
opinions on the best way to get from one place to the other.
So speaking of water levels, do you want to maybe speak to these guys too about boards coming out of the dam? Because I heard about that and how there was a big flume of water and the whole story.
Wait,
I
what?
heard from fire.
Did the boards come out of the dam?
We pulled the board out. Well, I asked the fire to,
Okay.
I knew it.
because I thought we always pulled one in the fall.
In the fall. And didn't he
And
leave them
did.
in?
He left them in.
Because it was
And
low.
it was really, really high. And I went and looked at it, and what was happening was the water was about a foot over the top of the board.
Wow.
It was up to the bottom of the culvert going under 2A, and it was just surge. It was just this surge or this wave in the pool underneath. And we had a storm coming the next day, and I said, if we get a storm, it's going to start damaging that culvert going under 2A. And so I said to Pedrazi, can you guys pull a board out? And I said, if you need help, we'll come out with a backhoe. But they have some machine they pull it out with. But it was, Pedrazi says he's never seen it like that. And like I said, it was just a surge. It was really cool to watch. It was just, you could have surfed in there.
I feel obligated to remind you that we weren't supposed to remove the boards except in the fall under the order of the DEP. But I think I don't recall if there was an item in there about or in times of need for safety. But
I thought you removed one in the fall and put it back in the spring.
correct.
But there was never one removed in the fall.
And we shouldn't confuse
So the
ourselves.
fall-
I keep
so
saying
was
this.
really
It's
a
not
late-
spring
a late
yet.
fall.
This is the extremely late fall.
Yeah. And I think we had decided we didn't think it was doing much for weed control.
Well, we knew
So-
it wasn't.
And we asked Chief Pedrazi if he had any issues with us leaving the boards in, and it was such a dry end of the summer.
But it was
No.
low anyway,
It was
right?
very low,
But-
yeah.
I think he was in. I think it was actually his idea
I
to leave
think-
the board in.
I think part of the problem was why it was so high was because there was a beaver dam on top of the, I don't know if you're familiar with it, you've got the stop logs,
Yeah.
and then there's a big basin that has a concrete wall that's lower than the stop logs, and then there's a pipe that comes out of the bottom. And the beavers had built up a dam on top of that.
Ah.
So the water wasn't getting out and it was backing up. When we pulled the beaver dam out from the top, then that's when there was a lot more water coming through, and then it started that surge going through, and but it wasn't going down, and we were getting calls from people on over in your neighborhood
Yeah.
about how high the water
Yeah.
was.
I got one
Yeah.
and I kicked them down to you guys, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing that's different from previous years is we've just had the beaver deceiver in at Long Pond for the last couple of years. And so the water's continually coming through instead of, usually over the winter, it's all dammed up.
Yeah.
And so it's been a continual feed.
Actually, you know, that's an interesting point. So
Yeah.
So
That-
the
that's an
improved flow
argument.
on Long Pond is increasing the flow through Sandy and
So that's an
Flanagan's.
argument for keeping the process of removing the boards in the fall,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Well, and let's also face it, I mean, right about now, we'd be talking about the beginning of melting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the beginning of, it's the
Yeah,
beginning of
it's
summer.
slow melt instead of all at once, everything thaws and dries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Pine Meadow flow is going as well.
Mm.
I mean, I look at it every day when I'm driving to work, so.
pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. So we wanted to talk about interaction as far as the permitting process. We talked about the dog park. Do we have any projects coming up that we need to discuss? Any extensions or paving or anything that you're planning on getting started with?
Most of our paving projects, I don't think we have any impact on. We're doing Washington Street. Oh, we might on Calvin, I'll have to do an RDA on.
Sure.
What about the one on 2A the state sent that letter about? And they're gonna
East
install
Main
a bunch
Street?
of, yeah, and they're gonna
That's-
install the drainage.
That's a
thing.
long ways away. We,
Is there a way to tie into that with the pond work and the water, all the upgrades, and is there any room for that kind of thing? How does that process?
Would pond work?
Sorry, I'm thinking faster than I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking faster than I'm thinking.
It was one or the other.
Yeah, whatever, I'm talking too fast. So the pond plan and the
Okay.
stormwater improvements
Yeah.
that were suggested and the way that you guys have started pursuing those,
So, right.
is there a tie-in with that project that while they're asking for comments, we can say something like, hey, actually, we would love to see this, and if you don't want to do that, we'll pony up the extra.
I think East Main Street, the footprint's not big enough to do any LID on. It's pretty much gotta be a piped system.
Because
To replace the existing.
letter they sent us, they said they're gonna put a new drainage.
We'll put a new drainage system in because the drainage out there is falling apart. But we don't have any room for any retention basins or anything like that.
So are we talking along the side of East Main? 'Cause-
So what,
It's that letter
we've
that we
got a
got.
project that and this is a couple, so we will have time to look at that if the Conservation Commission wants to comment on it. So we have an RDA, a negative determination for our water main project, which will be starting in about a month. And that's running from up East Street from 3rd and then all the way down East Main. And we're just in the buffer zone at where Mill Pond comes out. And we're right, just catch the buffer zone there. So we are going to be protecting catch basins and such there. But then this project is the next phase, which is basically reconstruct East Main Street from
Right, from the bridge.
where it forks
Yeah.
to one way, all the way to the bridge here. And that would be new drainage, new curbing, new sidewalks, bike lanes.
But the complete streets?
Well, we'll be, when we submitted, it was called Healthy Streets, but now it's Complete Streets.
You're gonna do water, gas in that
So we're
area?
doing the water and sewer now. The gas was done about 5 years ago, which is why the road's in such bad shape. So the project right there that you have is at the we're in the 25% design. We're just about to finish that up.
I swear we saw this already.
Yeah, it was last week. I went over to the mill and I just pulled it out.
That's right,
And
that's
we
right.
didn't actually read it. We just glanced at it and like.
It was
what-
after the meeting,
Yeah.
right, you grabbed your, that's right, that's why I saw it, okay.
So this is something that is basically a requirement, since it's gonna be Mass DOT funded, this is a requirement. Mass DOT says during the 25% design, you have to send out letters to their big long list and solicit comments. We will be having a 25% design public meeting, and then we'll roll into the final design, but we're at least a year away from bidding that project. The other project we're just getting going on is, are you familiar with the Shirley Street Bridge?
Oh, yeah.
Shirley?
Shirley,
That's, remember
So the Shirley Street Bridge, we had a
Oh.
washout several years ago.
Yeah.
On 2A.
No,
No,
remember we had
down
that
on
one
West,
when we
well,
wanted to do
if you
St.
go down
Mary's?
West Main Street,
Yeah.
up by St. Mary's.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry. We had
We
that
did
lady who came to
Yeah.
us. Yes.
So we had a washout there. I asked the board or the capital committee for money to fix the washout so we could reopen the bridge, knowing that the bridge had some structural issues that would then be a next phase of the project. We wanted to get that open. The capital committee, for whatever reason, decided not to approve that money. I had the state come out and do an inspection of the structure so I could get a better handle on what actually had to be done, and they condemned it. So even if we fixed where the washout
So that was quick.
So the next question was, if we don't fix the Shirley Street Bridge, because it would be probably $500,000 or $600,000 to replace it. My concern was farther down on Acacious Brook is another culvert on West Main Street that's about in similar condition. And
Right, the one that actually goes under.
the one that people well, you probably wouldn't even know there's a box culvert there. It's about a 10 or 12-foot span before you go up over the railroad tracks.
There's a second one? So so if I was driving along and that washed out bridge is on my left, obviously Nonaquacious Brook comes under there. You're saying if I keep on going, there's another one before I go up the hill?
No, there's one where it crosses the brook.
Okay.
And that culvert there, believe it or not, when I went under it, I'm looking up, I'm like, what is going on here? The bridge deck is built on old railroad rails.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they took these old railroad rail, they built the stone abutments and they put the railroad rails across all butted up, and then they poured a deck on top of that. And they're actually in pretty good shape. It's really the abutments that are in pretty tough shape. There's some scour. It doesn't line up with the brook. So
Cool. That's rather clever.
so that would be about $1 million to replace that bridge, just on my general.
And screw up my commute.
Well, and so that
You're saying-
West Main Street carries about 8,000 vehicles a day.
Yeah, it's got it.
So if we don't have Shirley Street repaired and then West Main Street goes down, you're driving McPherson Road or Barnum Road to go to that end of
Sweet
town.
Moses.
And you might as well just give that rest of town to Devon's.
And then what'll happen is that the water will come up and you won't be able to use McPherson, and that'll be the end of everything.
Right. Well, or the salamanders are crossing like they are this week.
Be for
Hey, don't
heaven over
complain though.
there.
There was at Crown Point in New York. You hear the story when that bridge failed?
Yeah.
Yeah. People drove to work in the morning. The bridge inspector came, shut the bridge down, and the commute home was an hour and a half
You gotta
around
go all the way
the lake.
down. Yeah. You gotta go all the way
The
down.
bridge was just like cottage cheese. The guy comes up and goes, "This could tip over. It should have been down by now." And so no complaining about your commute. They went.
Oh, no, I have other sneaky ways, but that's,
Right. So what we've done is we went out for proposals. We have an engineering firm. The contract with the firm should be signed at the next selectmen's meeting, and then we'll start looking what the alternatives are.
So this would be for Shirley Street or West Main?
Both,
Oh, both, okay.
because one of the options that the capital committee presented was, why don't we just get rid of Shirley Street Bridge and just have two dead ends? And I said, well, that's fine unless West Main Street goes, then you don't have any emergency access. And they said, well, why don't we put a temporary bridge in, fix West Main Street? And I said, but it's not just, you don't just abandon the bridge, you'd have to remove it and restore the stream bed, so there's a cost associated with that also.
right, either way,
So-
there's money.
So then they started asking me questions, and I said, well, you're beyond my bridge expertise. So, because there's also probably in here, the new requirements for
Stream crossing.
stream
Yeah, stream
crossings.
crossings, yeah.
And so that's why we hired some bridge guys, and they're gonna take a look at it. So that's coming up, but we haven't kicked that off yet.
Well, that'll certainly be
Um,
exciting.
Trying to think what else we have cooking.
You have our permission to completely shut the road down if it makes the bridge work go faster. But it'd be very disappointing to find out that you do the same thing that the state did on Route 2 at 128, where they've been doing that bridge in a series of that will be there forever. I hope no one expects that to ever change. I think there's actually grass growing up over the machines that are down there. So
Yeah, let's see, what else do we have going on? Those are the main things.
Well-
That will the water main with the directional drill will definitely be a big project.
well, that's the coolest one too. So
Yeah.
we're definitely going to want all the specifications on the machine and get to come watch.
And then, well, the other project I don't think you have any jurisdiction on is we have a CDBG grant to redo Pleasant Street from Main Street up to Groton Street.
No, not jurisdictional.
So that's going to be all new utilities, sidewalks, curbs.
So you guys also dug up. So you were talking about doing Washington.
We're just going to be repaving Washington.
Just
We're
about.
not doing any, it's just going to be a mill and overlay from.
You had trenching there. Did you already do?
Well, we
sewer?
did Washington, we're doing Washington Street in 3 phases. So we had a couple of years ago paved Washington Street up to the bottom of the construction entrance to the school. And then we decided we didn't want to do any more until the school got done.
Sure.
So we're going to pick up from there and go as far as Nashua Street with a mill and overlay. And there might be a little curbing we have to put in or replace, but we're not really going to change the footprint or do any excavation. And then the next phase will be from Nashua Street down to Highland Ave, where we just put in a new water main and new drainage.
Right.
And then the following will be the from Highland down to Main with all new sidewalks and such. Something that might be of interest is we submitted a complete streets policy. I don't know if you guys were following the complete streets program. So Mass DOT has a grant program for complete streets, and what complete streets is you look at you consider all your modes of transportation with pedestrian, bicycles, cars, trucks. And all abilities, ages, and then start looking at your transportation patterns in town and how do you maximize those uses and abilities on your transportation routes. So so I submitted a complete street. So the first phase is you do some training, which is basically a 6-hour DOT seminar. And then you write up a policy. The selectmen approved the policy. I submitted it. We got scored. So now we can apply for a $50,000 grant to do a plan.
Great.
And so the plan will look at the sidewalks, road layouts, what are our road maintenance projects? Are we going to be able to put bicycle lanes in? Do we need to upgrade sidewalks? How do we connect different nodes? If, for instance, how do we connect the school to pedestrian neighborhoods, things like that. And we will consider the trail network in town, the bike path in town, and how do we interconnect all of those routes. So we're right now I should be next week submitting my request for the planning money. I just wait for the consultant to put together a scope, and then we'll form a work group and start coming up with a plan.
That sounds
Do you
very
want
exciting.
some bicycle people on your work group?
Sure.
In your work group? Okay. My husband is an avid bicyclist around town. He's learning all the routes. So I'll tell him.
Pedrazi's a big cyclist
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes. In the woods even.
Oh yeah. They were having a conversation about
Seen him on
yeah.
our track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the remember when we did a project we were doing a walk on Wright Road, and all of a sudden we heard a noise in the woods, and it was Chief and a couple of other people riding their bikes through what were deer trails. It didn't even look like bike trails. It was like, holy smokes. Interesting stuff.
Well, he's younger than me, so.
Are you sure? All right. Anything else that we had?
Do you have any opinions on the wetland bylaw.
I don't know, I haven't read the town's wetland bylaw,
Don't
It's
bother.
not, it's not worth
and I don't know what you're proposing.
Neither do
Nothing
we.
yet.
This is
I'll tell you a story, because the town of Reading has a wetlands bylaw. And I was on the commission for a number of years. And I liked the wetlands bylaw. I thought it clarified, it set some, it had a couple things that were very beneficial. It was nice having we had the 25-foot no disturb zone, 35-foot no build zone. So right off the bat, you'd say, you're not doing that project, or you're gonna have to move that or change it around. So you weren't having that guesswork going on. The other thing that was nice about it had a minor projects. So if someone wanted to cut down a tree in a buffer zone, they didn't have to come to the board. They went to the administrator, filled out a minor project form. She did it all.
He did have a conservation easement though.
Well, no, I'm not. But
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying that, for a lot of times with residents, they think that the Wetlands Protection Act is a big pain because they want to cut down a tree that's going to fall on their kids, or put a slide in the buffer zone or something like that. And they're afraid to do it because they think it's going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars to come to the conservation.
Right. Well, when you say they're afraid to do it, what you mean is they're afraid to do it right. They're
Correct.
perfectly prepared to do it wrong,
Yes,
but
correct.
they're afraid to do it right because right costs money.
Yeah. So the minor projects, I thought, was a real benefit to the community. Now, what happened was some developers got the ear of, I don't know if it was the selectman or the town manager, and said, well, we'd love to build this project in Reading, but with your bylaw, it makes it way too complicated, we can't do what we want, and so we're gonna go to Wakefield because they don't have a bylaw.
Ooh, nasty.
And
First off, good
so-
riddance.
What?
Good luck.
Oh,
Try building anything in Wakefield.
and a lot of it depends on who's on the board, or who the administrator was, and our administrator was very detailed, and she checked stuff very closely. She followed the rules more than any other conservation administrator I ever met, and sometimes it was a little hard. And it was interesting. We were working on a project that was half in Wakefield and half in Reading. And I don't think we got any input from the Wakefield people. I don't even know if they said anything. And the developer, he was building basically it was a car lot. And so there's a lot of pavement, a lot of runoff, a lot of drainage, and Wakefield was just, we're good with what you're doing. So
Well, they probably
I think-
walked in and said, so when you pitch it, which side is Wakefield, up or down?
So what ended up happening was the town manager asked us to form a committee and go through the bylaw and see if they really wanted to get rid of it. And what we basically did, it was a pretty intense effort. I forget how long we took. It was probably 4 or 5 weeks. We interviewed engineers, developers, wetland specialists. We got a lot of the wetlands guys were really good because they told us a lot about what happened in other towns and how that compared to what was going on in Reading. And we ended up recommending a few minor changes to the bylaw, but really keeping it mostly intact. So it was a really interesting exercise, and I think it dispelled a lot of myths about the bylaw.
Well, let's face it, right? It depends on who's on the other side of the table as to whether your bylaw is a disaster or beneficial. So, and let's face it, that's subjective, not objective. So,
So the MACC has a list of all the town's bylaws within Massachusetts, and I've been reading through all of them. Some of
That's
them.
a bold move. I
Oh,
looked at
yeah.
there twice and I'm like, that's stupid. I'm not.
No, I mean,
Do you have
it's,
trouble sleeping in there?
I've been having nightmares, actually. So I gotta stop reading.
A couple things interesting with Reading, because I noticed on Brian's map, he had your vernal pools mapped.
Yeah.
Well, Reading had a biology professor at the high school, Leo Kenny, who was, I don't know if he's still president of the vernal pool organization.
He's still involved.
The founder, the godfather of vernal pools. So he was a biology teacher in the high school, and so every April vacation he would do a special advanced class. teaching
Drag those kids out.
how to, and the kids loved it because they're in puddles up to their knees finding tadpoles, and so they certified all these vernal pools. So I think I don't know if it's changed now, but Reading and Westford were about tied for the most number of vernal pools in the state, which
Interesting.
is, you know, and when you have a town that's fairly well developed, it's kind of hard for now a developer to develop a vernal pool area. So.
Well, I didn't read fire ponds. Do you know what a fire pond is?
Yeah.
It's considered a vernal pool now.
It doesn't dry out though. It's
Some
not-
do. Some do.
Whirlpool doesn't have to dry out.
Doesn't have,
Not to certify it, it's just a
Be-
Have the-
species, and some species
But it has-
don't mind if it stays wet on.
yeah, but I think a vernal pool by definition it has to be wet for like
It's certain periods of time,
yeah,
and
like
it has
6
to be,
months out of the year.
yeah, and
or
it has to have
something.
certain
Yeah.
species.
I think
Right.
we're back to that same discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure vernal pool or moose exist. So other than other than the no build zone, I have as well, but it's a big argument. Other than the no build zone, I love the minor projects idea. I think that's a huge help. What did you folks have as far as tree clearing? Tree clearing seems to be a big issue here in town.
I don't remember tree clearing being a big issue in that, so I don't know what, I don't remember. The other thing that we did have, isolated wetlands, which was a big deal. That's probably the most restrictive.
You know what the funniest part is? And so one of the things that, Brian's done an amazing job putting together this map that we have.
No,
and
that one's junk. That one.
Brian's done an amazing
Well,
job putting together
looks
the other
good.
maps
The
that
other
we
one's
have.
good, yeah.
But the point is, at some point, there's no space left. There's actually literally no space left to development. So we're almost going to get to the point where all development discussions are based on tear downs and rebuilds because there isn't going to be anywhere left to build a house. Like, actually nowhere left.
We got some piles of rock in this town you can build on.
Not as good as it would get, and I'm pretty sure most of those won't be jurisdictional. So
Have you heard anything on Stratton Hill?
Not for a while.
the only thing I heard, so I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that they had been talking to Moulton, and that he's still as vigorous as he ever was. But he's been working on the other side, that other project, and hasn't talked at all about coming this way. So you've seen him, I'm sure.
He's still building that.
It's like
Robin's.
Robin
Robin's.
Robin Hill.
Like Robin.
I talked to Bob Collins probably 4 to 5 months ago, and he said that Moulton had no interest in continuing Stratton Hill. Did the town want to buy it? And I said, well, that's not my jurisdiction, so this is, you talk to the planning board or the board of selectmen about that. But
Be a hell of a dog park.
It'll be a great walk. I mean, it's already a walking trail. Lots of people use it, you know,
well, it's access to
It's
the other side
also,
of the
you know,
pond, too.
and dumping.
and
Yeah,
dumping.
there's a lot of dumping up there.
Well, but there's a road, so get rid of the road and
Yeah.
keep
Yeah,
the
it's,
trail.
I drive through there every once in a while, not very often, but it's amazing how many times you see another car driving through there, or a truck, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, what's this guy doing here? He's probably saying the same with me, but
All right, he's looking at you going, what's that guy doing there? Well, thank you very much for the
All right.
feedback. Won't take any more of your time.
You
Enjoy
guys
your
are
evening.
easy compared to going to the slow house. Oops, turn that off.
Thanks, Mark.
We have less complaining to do. All right, so why don't we very quickly, before we get into our 8 o'clock, so we have a handful of stuff here. So we had announcements. Any announcements?
Let's see. Somebody wants to buy a tree for every 7th grader in town. And
Okay.
the idea is that they're going to plant them in their own yards, but they want some backup plans. You know, because kids live in apartments and they can't, or they live in a condominium association and they can't plant. And so, do you know where maybe is a good place to put 30 or 40 or 50 trees if?
Boy, this should have come up before he put his coat on. So,
Well, I didn't look at my list. I was listening, paying attention.
So, because where we built the tank up at Pingree Hill,
yeah.
and it's basically a big scar on the landscape now.
It is.
So I got information from the tree warden on where you can buy saplings, and then I put the word out to the Boy Scouts. I'm looking for an Eagle project to go up and plant some trees up there. Now it's a little early because they still have to do final grading and cleanup and things up there, but once it dries out, the contractor's gonna get up there and finish that up. But that's a place we could definitely come up with a plan and do some planting up there.
Is that water tank online already?
No,
Ah.
there's no pipe to it.
Gotta wait for it to dry out to finish the piping, or?
No, Roper needs to come to you guys to get approval of phase 4.
Really?
To
I
get
thought
the
everything-
pipe in.
I thought we had a whole argument about that was why we had to meet with him the first time and rush it through and.
That's what he told me when I talked to him, what was it, Monday? I said, what's
I
going on
haven't
with
heard
phase
anything
4? And
new.
he says, oh, we're just about to resubmit to the Conservation Commission. Because, we revised the layout.
He called me on Tuesday to talk about the affidavits from those COCs that we had those sidewalks about, and he's got one of them and he's working on the other. So he called me on Tuesday to talk about that and didn't say anything about this. Also, you guys are all hysterical. You're all just
Well, it's the best way to keep your mouth closed when it keeps wanting to drop open at the next thing that's happened. So, my recollection was that Mr. Roper, Mr. Mulaney came to us with the whole project area that allowed for them to do the road up to the water tank. And all that was covered so that they could put the water tank in.
Right.
And the phase that was waiting was phase 5, not phase 4.
Phase 5, they're constructing now. So they skipped phase 4 and went to phase 5 because of some wetlands issues. But I thought that was all set also.
You can drive
But
right up there, so if there were
It's-
wetland
was-
issues,
it's-
we'd already have a problem now, wouldn't we?
Well, the wetlands issues were past that. So in other words, Woodland Way used to be a loop.
Right.
Now it's, I think, going to be a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be another loop that was a cul-de-sac.
Right, he redesigned it because of the wetlands.
Yeah. And so there's 2 issues. One is his contractor, Powell, came back and said, I want more money to do this. And
Wait,
so-
we heard it was a quality issue, but go on.
So Powell was supposed to be doing this site work for the tank, and they got up there and they cleared it.
Mhm.
And then they built the tank, and then Powell said, oh, for us to do the rest of the work, it's gonna cost more money. This is the story I heard. So I got my contractor who was up in Washington Street. I said, well, why don't you talk to them? And so he went and finished all the site work and brought the water main up enough so that we could at least get water into the tank. So what
Sure.
we had to do was we had to put a temporary pipe from one hydrant to another to fill the tank.
Okay,
So
maybe
there's
that's why
water
I
in the
saw
tank, but the tank doesn't connect to our system.
pesky.
We met with, in last May, we met for an RDA for Woodland Way, and they were proposing a temporary access way in water main to allow for the construction of the water tank. And then Rick Roper would submit an NOI for permanent infrastructure work at a later date.
So I think at the time, so that's fantastic. I think at the time, what I thought that the permanent infrastructure was with regard to the road. So as you drive up the road that goes around, loops around to the tank, there's almost a straight uphill to the tank. Is that where the pipe's going to go?
So the pipe goes from Woodland Way
Yeah.
up there. That pipe is in.
Okay. So that pipe, the straight up pipe is in.
Yes, but the pipe in Woodland Way from the end of which street is it? Hickory.
Yeah.
From Hickory to the bottom of the hill is not in. So it's about, I think it's about 100 feet. So he's getting I think he has a contractor now lined up to do that, but I don't know if he's gonna wait to start the whole thing. But it's gotta get done pretty soon. But the Cedrone is doing the tank stuff now. And I talked to him this morning, and he said he's just waiting for it to dry out, because it's a big muddy mess up there.
I'm sure it is. Interesting.
And then he's gonna clean up, you know how the slopes are all stumped and stuff. He's gonna clean up all that, grade it all out, And then we'll have to do some kind of plantings and something to make sure that it doesn't all wash down to Sandy Pond. So that was what I was thinking, we plant some trees there too and start reforesting it. And so I would use some of my water tank money to buy the trees. They're not expensive, so.
Yeah, this came through Jeff.
Jeff Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at this point, he's the source of the rumors.
Okay, I can talk to him too, because, like I said, Mark Dixon, the tree warden, gave me from his tree warden association or whatever. But you have to buy them, I wanna say it's fairly soon, it's probably like in the middle of April, you have to have bought all, placed your order.
Yeah, I guess if I was gonna be digging saplings out, I'd wanna be digging them out before they, although at this point, I don't know, they've already got sap running on maples. They had sap running on maples 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Crickets and spring peepers, and it sounds like June in
It
my
does,
yard.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest thing last night. It was 70+ degrees, and there were no peepers on the wetland up at the top of the hill. Nothing. Dead
Actually,
quiet.
I've got two
Dead
wetlands,
quiet.
like one to the left and one to the right, and they have two different species of peepers. And the one peepers are up and going, and the other peepers haven't woken up yet,
Huh.
which is really interesting.
I got bit by 2 mosquitoes last night.
Yes.
All
Run
right.
while you can. Run while you can. Have a good night, Mark.
Run while you can.
Okay.
Um,
Any other announcements?
let's see. The Family Dollar trash issue, I didn't move anywhere with that. Did you move anywhere with that?
There are just so many jokes to tell about what you just said in one sentence. And I held off every dog park wag, pee, lift a leg for that, everything. I held all those jokes off to myself.
Thought you'd be barking up the wrong tree. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely no fleas on you. So
Wow.
did you have a chance to go by there yourself?
I've been by, but not since the last meeting. And I haven't heard from them yet, and I was supposed to call yesterday, and that fell apart. But I think I remember you saying you'd spin by too.
I did. I went back before, but I haven't had a chance to go back.
Fair enough. Let's see, what else are we doing in there?
Kind of ticks you off.
In there's a grant coming up, the one that they were talking about for the
Oh, this
firehouse. In
Nope.
there, it's also listed floodplain restoration as an opportunity.
All right, hold on.
No, it's in the pile you're in.
This one?
Yeah, it's in there.
In this.
No, that's the ACEC rules and regs.
Okay. I was in, oh, here we go. Pre-disaster mitigation grant?
Yeah.
Pre-disaster.
Yep. So to create capacity for flooding and ecosystem restoration, floodplain restoration, that sort of thing. If you guys can think of anywhere in town that might be appropriate for that, just throwing it out there.
Mark was just talking about.
Right, they're using it for the firehouse.
It's got to be
Right.
your phone. It keeps coming from over there.
You know, and they've got their own infrastructure-oriented ideas. But from our perspective, if there was,
It is
so
your
for instance, this spot here is a state-listed rare threatened ecosystem, which is
Where are you at? Off of Walker Road?
over on the
Between
town.
West Main Street and Walker. So actually,
it's a nested set of colors all the way.
yeah.
on the edge.
So you know where this is? So this is the,
Yeah. Off of McPherson Road?
there's McPherson, there's where it turns hard. And we don't have the railroad tracks shown on here, but if we did, they'd be here. So it's just before the railroad tracks. It's that, so as you're driving along, if you looked off to the left into this spot, there's a spot, it looks like a stream opens up. It dries out in the summer, mostly dries out in the summer. And then it goes into a wetland that you can see loops around in the back. So that's what this must be right here. You can tell from the road it's significant, but I don't, you literally have to bushwhack your way through to get back in there.
So that is a state priority habitat. You know,
And
that's
is that-
small river floodplain.
Well, that's where
forest.
Nanticoke meets.
Yeah.
Just before where Nanticoke meets National.
Before it floats out to the Nashua under the road there. Well, that's so cool. Okay.
So I was just, kicking around the idea of maybe if we went out and had a look at that and thought that it was, potentially upgradable ecosystem, we could maybe clean out some invasives or, I don't know, whatever. There's a grant opportunity for floodplain ecosystem improvement.
Does it have to be in the 100-year floodplain? Is that?
Look, I mean, it's pretty open-ended because it's pre-disaster mitigation.
Yeah.
And so they're looking to create, I would expect, flood capacity. So
Oh, I thought they were looking to
perhaps,
create disasters.
You know, ecosystem isn't really going to flood or fly because the floodwaters wouldn't change much. But I don't know, maybe not.
Sweet bubbling Moses. They have 199 million available nationally and 90 million available nationally from PDM.
So just sort of to put that in your head and see if you know, anything comes out the other side that wouldn't be related to infrastructure.
I mean,
Yeah, I would, if we're thinking about maybe invasive species control as part of it, the north end of, Pine Pond, where the Pragmites is.
Oh, that would be,
yeah,
that would be flood, yeah.
And if that, I know there's that little
Yeah.
brook that connects the beaver ponds, and if that, I don't know if that is within floodplain, so if that would qualify, but if it did, then that would be,
It would increase storage capacity Yeah.
would, so,
and it would prevent further
Mhm.
disaster.
be worth looking.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made there.
So how do we get the frag out of there?
You would have to, pull it out by hand, cut it, paint it with herbicide,
And then be patient.
yeah.
you have to do that like a couple times a
It's
year?
one treatment
One
a
treatment per year?
depending on if you do manual plus herbicide or just manual. But
Any other way?
you know, and then it's 3 to 5 years.
And then after that, you send in some goats.
Can you burn it?
Swimming goats.
Smoke it.
You put
Smoke
on
it out.
the swimmies on their arms, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's that.
It's just funny in my head. Depends how deep it is, how mushy.
It just keeps coming back to the fact that it doesn't make any sense that we don't have goats.
Anyway, so there's that announcement. You guys, everybody should have a copy of the L3 bylaw as was asked for at the last meeting. You also got it in your email. Associated with that, Bill has the latest opinion from the lawyer on what this body can or cannot do.
Consent council?
Yep.
So I actually checked my email.
Is it like me, like that many emails?
Yeah, but that's fine.
I'm sharing. I'm sharing.
That's, yeah, that's what we want you to do.
And then the new map that you guys have all been seeing, this is a response to Bill's last request for, hey, that was really cool. What about a map of? And that's sort of what we've got here. And these are all the surface ecosystems, no aquifer protection.
No, but when you think about it, right? So this is actually, if this is your first line of defense map, right?
More or less, yeah.
Doesn't have your 100-year flood on it, which is an issue, and it doesn't have the zone 1 and zone 2.
Right.
That's fine.
This is straight up ecosystem based,
But-
state level assessment.
But those are easy ads. I mean, based on what amazing stuff you've done with this, those are pretty simple, easy ads. So, you know, at this point, you pretty much say to somebody, do you fall in one of the areas that isn't shaded green or blue? I was going to say one of the white areas, but no. So, but you've got this amazing ability to sit there and say, so I can tell by the colors down below what impact your project is going to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty powerful tool, if nothing else than to help people, because people don't look at these maps. They don't see this. We don't see this compiled like this very often. So it's great.
So I put this map together thinking about the bylaw conversation, and I see 6 spots.
That one looks like when a hurricane goes through or a tornado goes through the Midwest. That's what it looks like on that TV map. I'm not saying I don't agree with your colors. I'm just saying that looks like the TV map, and they're like, these areas are most hard hit by the hurricane.
I took the assigned colors. Yours I tried to tone down a little. So we've got our floodplain over here,
Yeah.
which has at least 3, if not many, underneath nests of biomap and natural heritage, and then they buffered it, and it's a core habitat, and it's a critical habitat.
And it's probably zone 1, because there's a production well, right?
Right, the well building is right on that road. Right, in fact, right here. Because you come down McPherson, it turns, you drive through here, and before you pass under the river, under the bridge, before you pass under the railroad bridge, it's right here on this side of the road.
Yeah. So, my thought there would be to specify some greater buffer protection areas. The two ponds up here in your alternate colors, strangely enough, so this fill-in color, it's a core critical habitat kind of thing.
That pink?
The pink?
Yes. And it's funny because the middle of Long Pond isn't that important apparently. The edges of Long Pond are really important, but the middle isn't.
That's pretty standard, actually.
But, that'd be something else, maybe to focus something in the bylaw update to say these two ponds are critical, therefore we should do X.
What is a BM2CH priority natural comms?
So I'm at to priority natural community.
He knows what you're
Interesting.
talking about.
So these are priority natural communities?
Yep.
Interesting.
Right, and then the big vernal pool hotspot in between the ponds, obviously.
Again,
That's one big wetland. full of
moose,
moose,
vernal pools.
Right. But we could
Not
do
real.
a focused bylaw piece there. And then the other piece here is at the edge of our ACEC, we have a wetland system and water flow that comes out and then back in, as well as, down here, the big ponds in town, they flow out of the ACEC and back into another ACEC. And so that's why I printed out the ACEC regs, and apparently the only difference is that they're more restrictive on bordering vegetated wetlands. And so perhaps extending the bordering vegetated wetland rules into this space, into this space, based on the fact that if you're coming and going and you're... Anyway, those are the thoughts that I mapped out.
What you thinking?
We can't extend, the thing about the bylaws, we can't extend,
No, we can't extend the ACEC, but we
no,
could.
we can't extend the buffer zone either. We can only work within our jurisdiction, which is
Right.
100 feet
True.
from any BBW. So I just want to make sure that when you use the
Well,
word
we're
extend.
within so the rules in the ACEC, they're in the pamphlet there.
Right.
They're much more restrictive on the destruction and replacement of BBWs.
Sure.
And so basically to extend that restriction into the town bylaw. So to, grant this space based on the justification would be, it's essentially hydrologically still in the ACEC because it's leaving and then going back into the ACEC. And so for whatever reason, those waters, those wetlands, they fall between the cracks.
So is
They're
it,
hydrologically, you see what I'm saying?
so is it maybe applying more of a stricter guidelines with respect to no build zones? Like,
No, not necessarily. Maybe, but not necessarily. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I get it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the brainstorming.
The ACEC was. We would have to get, I would want a legal opinion on that.
That's fair. I mean,
the
they say they may
ACEC
not
was
have the
designated
BBWs.
by at the time, Secretary Duran, the ACECs we're talking about. I don't,
But like, for instance, the one up top here, that's a straight line. They just send from here to there to there to there.
yeah,
And that
well,
little-
no, they carved out areas that they knew were already developed. And
so if you,
Yeah,
I
you
just
don't want to
don't know.
second guess.
the thing I'm worried about, and I would totally be in favor of pursuing a real bylaw, as opposed to what we have. But Governor Baker has issued his executive order that says no more bylaws. Existing bylaws need to be scrapped. Yada yada yada.
what? Yeah.
I
So-
missed that.
If we any bylaw that we go forward with, if it were to even get past town meeting, would have to go to the Attorney General to get vetted and approved. And I just feel like if we're gonna
You think that's a big ask?
if we're gonna be doing anything more than basically just better defining and clarifying and restricting within that 100-foot, what we know to be the 100-foot buffer zone, our jurisdiction, I think anything beyond that is, probably wouldn't get through town meeting, but
Well, and that's,
definitely wouldn't, well, so let's step back
Yeah.
one step. So when
I
you
think-
refer to Governor Baker, so are you referring to campaign rhetoric or an
No, this
actual
is executive
statement?
order like 562 or something. I mean,
is that that consolidation thing where he's like, you know, we gotta thin the herd a little bit here?
yeah,
Yeah.
where he's trying to get rid of regulations, and I could be wrong, but I think if putting a freeze on all local regulations, all new local regulations, and asking state agencies that fall under his purview to come up with proposals to thin out existing regulation.
No.
That's my understanding.
Interesting. So I guess the interesting part is, so does our chapter 41 apply that same way?
Or what?
I'm sorry, I always mix it up.
40. I'm just mumbling.
No, you're doing Is he suggesting going back on the state law that is the jurisdictional thing that makes everything matter for us?
Yeah, I believe so.
So he's saying, that's pesky, let's get rid of it?
I think he's looking, I believe his directive was figure out ways to make it less pesky.
So it's streamlining.
Yeah.
It's streamlining the process
Well,
for the whole state.
maybe
Weakening
not
the regulations so
stream.
that it, yeah.
Well-
And so obviously he's getting pushback from
That's awesome.
all these agencies that have
But you know what?
regulations in
It's,
place.
so it kind of makes sense, and the reason why is because I have been reading all of the bylaws, and they're all different,
Yeah.
and they all have different language. There's a lot of common language, but some of it's very different. And so, if you're a town and you're trying to, take legal action against something, right, and your town bylaw is a little bit different than the state bylaw, that makes a whole lot more work for the state, right? If you're trying to sort of
Yes.
prove it or disprove it. I mean, it's a lot of money, right, to do that.
Well, yeah, and so appeals under the state,
Yeah,
under the state
appeals,
act, go up to DEP.
Yeah.
And then if there's still no resolution, it goes up to
Superior Court.
But appeals to the local bylaw go straight to court. And then I think, if the bylaw is sort of widely inconsistent with the state
Yep.
regulations,
Yep.
then it just exposes the town to potentially that much more,
Right.
No, that's true, but
legal fees and.
but that's not a-
scrutiny and potentially having the bylaw.
Yeah, but then the counter argument is that if you have a strict bylaw in your town, you're more likely to, like if someone appeals something, you're more likely to win, right?
Yeah,
As a town.
well, I would
If
say
you-
not, I agree, I would replace the word strict with effective.
Yeah, effective.
Our
Right,
bylaw is
right.
completely ineffective.
Right,
Mm.
right,
So,
right,
yeah.
right.
so really he should be in favor of ours. It doesn't do anything.
No, I want a bylaw that does something. But I think we need to,
562, Executive Order Number 562, Charles D. Baker, Governor, by His Excellency, Charles D. I'm reading this. By His Excellency, Charles D. Baker, Governor, Executive Order Number 562 to reduce unnecessary regulatory burden, revoking and superseding is spelled wrong. That's awesome.
let me see.
Superseding.
Nice.
Revoking and superseding Executive Order Number 485, although I'll be really disappointed if supersede is a word. Whereas government regulations are intended to protect public health, safety, environmental, and welfare functions and to improve the operation of government for the citizens of the Commonwealth, whereas many of the regulations adopted by state government agencies and offices have imposed unnecessary cost, burden, and complexity, whereas confusing, unnecessary, inconsistent, and redundant government regulations inconvenience individuals, encumber cities and towns, stress resources of nonprofit organizations, including our healthcare and educational institutions, inhibit business growth, creation of jobs, and place Massachusetts for-profit enterprises at a competitive disadvantage relative to their out-of-state and foreign competitors, New Hampshire, whereas state agencies and offices across the Commonwealth must coordinate and collaborate with one another to ensure that the government speaks in one voice, better served Whereas the citizens and customers of the Commonwealth will be better served by reducing the number, length, and complexity of regulations, leaving only those that are essential to the public good. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts by authority invested in me, Step 1, Section 1, I direct each secretariat, agency, department, board, commission, authority, or other body within the executive department hereinafter agency, and invite and encourage any such government body not under my supervision to promptly undertake a review of each and every regulation currently published in the Code of Massachusetts Regulations under its jurisdiction. Section 2, except as provided below, each agency shall sunset all of its regulations on or before March 31st, 2016. I did. Am I understanding that correctly? It means they're done. Sunsetting is what you do when you say, we're going to have this law and it sunsets on April 1st, 2020. And what that means is unless we vote to enact a change to it or re-up it, it's done. We've stated that it has this term. This says, except as provided below, each agency shall sunset all of its regulations on or before March 31st, 2016. By taking such steps as required by law, including pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, to rescind, revise, or simplify such regulations after conducting the reviewers prescribed in this order.
Well, we don't have any regulations to be sunset.
Pretty simple. Section 3. In conducting such review, which shall be coordinated across all agencies and participating governmental bodies, only those regulations which are mandated by law or essential to the health, safety, environment, or welfare of the Commonwealth's residents shall be retained or modified. Okay, so here we get into where it's fuzzy. So what specifically would be essential to health, safety, environmental welfare? I was about to cross off our entire 9 o'clock item, but it looks like we can keep it. Clearly defined need for governmental intervention. Cost of regulation do not exceed benefits that result from regulation. Does not exceed federal requirements or duplicate local. Less restrictive or intrusive alternatives have been considered, found less desirable. Regulation does not unduly and adversely affect mass citizens or customers. Agency has established a process and schedule for measuring the effectiveness. It's time limited or provides for regular review. In addition, regulations not meeting the standards set forth in General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 5, shall be rescinded in accordance with the law. Interesting. Section 5. Beginning immediately, no agency shall promulgate a new regulation which has not been reviewed pursuant to this order and does not meet the standards set out of this order. Section 6. Each agency shall prepare, in connection with any proposed new regulation, a business/competitiveness impact statement that will conclude a competitiveness review and assess disruptive economic impacts on small businesses as required by General Law, Chapter 38, Section 5, and all other potentially impacted entities, including cities and towns, nonprofit organizations, medium and large for-profit enterprises, as prescribed for such periods of time as desired by Secretary of Administration of Finance, notwithstanding the effectiveness date of this order. Such business competitive impact studies shall be made available on the Commonwealth's website.
That's perfect. We're not an agency.
Yes, but we have to go to one of them to get it approved. Before proposing to adopt a new regulation, each agency shall submit the regulation together with a business competitiveness impact statement required by Section 6 above to either Donald Trump or the Cabinet Secretary overseeing that agency. If approved, the Cabinet Secretary overseeing that agency, John Oliver, is amazing, together with the required business competitiveness impact statement for review and approval by the Secretary of Administration and Finance. So, is this what you were referring to? Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this 31st day of March in the year of our Lord 2015 and of the independence of the United States of America 239. What we from now on. Absolutely. Where's my agenda? So when we put the date, can we also put the independence of the United States of America 240?
Wait,
No.
I phrased it like a question and I didn't mean to. In parentheses under that, Independence, and in the independence of the United States of America, 240.
Would you like that
I
in,
second Brian's motion.
would you like
Anyway.
that in Declaration of Independence font?
I was thinking about how cool it would look, right, if we did that. Anyway, I'm reading this off of, this is the, just so that we're on the same page, this is the www.mass.gov/governor, poop. I can't expose the whole thing.
Governor's
/
poop?
No, you can't go to,
I can't see the entire I can't see the
This
entire
is the beginning of the end.
website.
Yeah, what-
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Hold on.
Wow.
It says mass.gov legislation and executive orders / executive orders / executive order number 562 by His Excellency Governor Baker. Another phrase I'll be using all day tomorrow. So,
maybe we should also change our town annual report thing to shared by His Excellency.
I have time to change that, you know.
but then we have to look up who gets to put His Excellency in front of their name, and I'm willing to bet that that's a Massachusetts thing. I bet Rahm Emanuel wants to be His Excellency, but doesn't get to be.
Well, maybe the rest of New England might have some of that, you know, all that colonialness.
There's a possibility.
Mhm.
All right, so
So anyway,
except for those states that purposely wanted to get away from it. So, here's what I'm going to recommend that we do. Why don't we start by taking on this, because it looks like we have some bills to pay, so we don't forget. Then we're going to take a shot at this, and we're going to talk about some of the ideas that we came up with, and then I'm actually interested to hear Robert's opinion on this. I'm concerned that anything that we do is all for naught. That if we go and say we want to add these no-build zones, which we talked about 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was, that they're just going to get shot down.
It would be, given that town council is recommending we amend the bylaw to incorporate the ticketing thing, it would be a good response back to say, hey, what about executive order?
562.
Right, what can we do? I mean,
no,
what if they know about it?
fair enough.
Hmm.
So
Well, I mean, it seems. Look, I'm not trying to get out of doing the work,
No,
but it's
no.
just it doesn't make sense to take a bylaw, bring it to town meeting,
Well,
go through the
also-
battle, and then
You know.
somebody says, "Didn't you read 562
So would it be helpful if?
or 561, where it
Yeah.
says that you don't exist anymore?"
So I have a person I can contact in Nikki Songs' office. Could I call that person up?
Hey,
Ask?
extra opinions won't hurt.
Yeah. Just
Is her name
ask-
Nikki?
No,
I just would have been cool.
no.
I would, but yeah, find out what parameters
Yeah,
can
what
we
parameters.
realistically work in.
Right, right.
I mean,
Like, this is what we're thinking of doing, how realistic.
look,
With this.
from what he stated, the original, as Brian mentioned, we're not an agency of the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
And that's what that said. He said, if you're a state government hereafter known as the agency,
Yeah.
you are to review everything that you have. However, it also makes sense that this would go to the state attorney general. The state attorney general would say, well, actually, the governor said that we're headed in this direction and you're in a different direction.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember hearing something about this on the TV or on the radio, and I also remember hearing something along the lines of, obviously it'll take forever to implement and blah blah blah, but no, he did it last
but
year.
yeah, just so, in terms of, like you said, just legally making sure that because, the secretary is going to approve it, that doesn't somehow give it a stamp of being a departmental item that then falls under this particular
Yeah.
situation.
Well, it clearly states not to exceed federal or state law. It actually states not to exceed. So that suggests that
local
local
supersedes.
that local law would not be allowed to supersede the authority. There's no 25-foot no-build zone
Right,
in
So
the
the-
law that we are under. Why do I keep wanting to say Chapter 141?
chapter 44, isn't it? Matt, MGO.
No, it's
No.
Chapter 40.
40,
Chapter 40, Section 141, right?
yeah,
No.
181.
Here, hold on.
It's chapter,
It should say it right here. How about this?
chapter 131.
Chapter 131, Section 40.
Yes,
Yeah.
section
That's
40.
what we were
Yeah,
flipping around.
131, 40.
I can put that right under the seal.
Only if it says, in the independence of the United States, 240. It's your call. And I want that updated based on July 4th.
Third.
Huh?
Third.
3rd?
Isn't it signed on the third?
What?
And announced on the fourth?
Actually, there's a
thought it
whole
was
bunch of
signed on
stuff
the
about that. And let's face it, it wasn't like they emailed it out the next day. Right? It got here in August.
So you got the legal opinion there that you're reading now?
No, actually, I was making sure that I didn't misread Chapter 131, Section 40. Okay, let's go back to business. We have
Receipts.
a short period of time, so let's go back to business and make sure we've got this squared away. I'm going to do the legal opinion after we do the monies, because as George likes to say,
That I did
about the
yesterday. Receipts.
why does this say Reese's peanut butter cups
No,
and Twix eggs?
I was
I'm not making that up.
No, you're not.
Stop.
It's too late. Those are gone.
Deny.
But underneath the candy is the poster tube.
Which you can't.
Actually, it's right on top. $9.99. $9.99. So this is to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
For this lovely piece of
No, that's some
rugged,
serious
take it out
hardware.
in the field. You can take it on site visits and yeah.
Can I see that? That's I have one which has actually become a problem. Thank you, because it doesn't adjust.
How much
Ooh.
was this, $9.99?
Oh, that's nice. Hey, Seymour? In the ham? Huh. $10.
Yeah, sure.
I have one that was made for the smaller prints, and it's nice because it's more rugged than that, because it doesn't adjust.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fit the CD size drawings. Okay, so my only concern is I have no problem circling this. It's just there's really nowhere great on here to sign. So I'm going to sign down, I've marked down here on the bottom. So I was going to do the vote, don't worry. I was just trying to find a place to put lines. Ah, that sounds like the 1980s.
We could make a quick copy of it.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
We could do that.
Can you reach? Can you get to the machine? Yeah. Okay. All right. While Jess is doing that, let's move to the next one. Big picture framing. Again. In Sudbury, plexiglass, archival mount, 66S Robin's egg. That's the color?
Yeah. It's
Didn't
a
we say
metal-
black?
Yep. This was an artistic and price override. The only frames that were cheap enough, there were two of them on the lower end, and they were all metal. So the wood thing went out the window. And then we started, laying out the colors, and the black looked awful. And the robin's egg is a blue-green, and it's got the striations on it. So the way that map has the cross-hatching, actually lines up really nice. So
All right, we're trusting your judgment on
That's
this.
the most important thing, right? It's
Pretty.
looks good.
Yeah, that looks good,
Yeah.
and you like it.
Money and it looks
You're-
good. What are we?
You're the one
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, most of the time.
the
did it
other
sideways.
big thing that was nice was that so I had to use a competitor's coupon to get the price down there. The full retail on that's like $5.50 or something. And the really ugly frames are what I could have gotten for $211, and the robin's egg is actually like a $250 item. And so I was haggling a little bit, and she's like, you know what? I'll give you the better price for the frame you want. So I'm very proud of myself. Smug, almost. It's supposed to
No,
just keep
I
adding
caught
up.
that.
It's a bit like,
Inseparable.
I'm taking you shopping with me next time I go.
Well, I was gonna say you sound like my wife, but
have you seen the South Park with the hybrids?
but I didn't say that. Yes, I didn't say that.
What? I didn't hear a thing.
She's not watching right now, anyway, don't worry.
All right, so we're gonna. So I don't want to be the one who puts focus back in this, but let's do it. All right, so just $211.40.
This
That's
big-
amazing. So hold on, you need to note this.
This is big picture.
$568.50 gets cropped by $284.25. Then a second discount is applied, the discount is applied. It comes down to a whole $198.97 with tax added. The total is $211.40. $211.40.
This is big picture framing?
Big picture framing.
And theoretically, you guys are gonna get refunded, right? Because you're a tax-free entity, and so when they do the end of the year filings,
And I don't know how that works, but sure.
right?
But you know, we have a tax-free number you can take with you.
That they couldn't do the billing.
Oh, okay.
I would also bet they didn't want to.
Yeah.
Just run a limb there.
I
Yeah.
tried, and they basically were like, no, we're not doing that.
Okay, so first of all, this is great. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? George, I can see you just steaming over the robin's egg blue. You good?
I can work with it.
Fair enough.
And did you order another poster itself too, or?
That's the one that's mounted.
Oh, that
The
includes the
border.
poster itself?
No, there's another $48 bill.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, so we're getting there. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to pay. So this is a personal expense to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I put these lines on here, this is the only tricky part.
Big picture is also to Brian?
Yeah,
Yes. So your name is on here, so she won't get confused by that.
right.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure she doesn't.
Well, I hope so. I shouldn't say right. I'm assuming that she'll see my name.
If there's a question, we'll go from there. I would entertain a motion to pay $211.40 to Mr. Brian Colleran, who purchased a plexiglass frame and mounted, planned to be paid for at another time, for our office.
So moved.
Second.
Please.
That does include tax?
It does. Not terribly worried about that. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I think Lisa will probably say that.
Right, they'll pay me back that much, but then theoretically, I'm sure they've got an internal process for getting their tax money back for things like this.
I think she'll probably say we can only reimburse the smaller
Oh.
amount, but I'm okay with the motion to cover the full amount.
I think the best thing for us to do at this point is to send it to Lisa and
And let her
then,
figure it out.
Yeah. they'll
I was going to
sort
say
it
deal with the consequences, but yes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we have AC Moore, personal expense to Mr. Brian Colleran, $9.99 for one art tube. I would entertain a motion to pay same.
So moved.
Now, here's the tricky part. There's a taxable amount on the $9.99.
I'll eat the 7 cents.
You're all right with that? All right. All in favor? So, did I get was there a motion made?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and a second?
Yes.
Yes. All in favor say aye.
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 Eating involved. I mean. Not one Reese's.
Actually, it would have been better if it was the, would have been better if it was the Cadbury mini eggs.
I thought of that. They were
Right?
there. Feeling crunchier than that, though.
Although, you ever had teoc?
No idea what that is.
Teoc,
No.
it's almost the same consistency as gnocchi, but it's Korean pasta that you boil. It's like little pasta eggs.
Oh, is that like the frozen Japanese, like, gnocchi? No, not gnocchi. The, what's the frozen ice cream, like rice?
Oh no, you're thinking of taro, right? Isn't
mochi?
Yes. Yeah.
no? This is teoc. Is their little like it's not rice, it's pasta, and or it's grain based. It's delicious.
I'm getting hungry.
It just made me hungry. All right, there's another one here for $48. This, however, is billed directly to us. Correct? You did not pay for this. And this is for another 36 by 48 glossy photo stock poster.
And who's this go to?
It's $48. It gets paid to the town of Ayer would pay this to J&S Business Products, located at 17 Main Street. That's right in the front here.
36 by 48 glossy.
Photo stock poster. George is just jumping here to say something.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's a good price.
Then, we're going to actually run out of time doing these. Then, Jess went to MACC,
And Bonnie's got to do this.
Oh, yes.
and Bonnie didn't turn hers
Turn
in.
mine in.
It's $125 paid by personal check to Jessica Gino. They did spell her name right. I guess we can do this without seeing the actual check in blood. I would entertain a motion to,
Is it 115?
It's 125, well,
It's written in as 125 as a receipt.
You should have
I
gotten
didn't
it
do
cheaper
it,
than
I
that.
didn't do advance.
Oh, it was late. It was the register late.
But that's what they charged.
Okay.
So you just exposed the $10 spend.
Well, I think that might be it, then, unless it's gonna.
Yeah, because
Right, you-
I
yours
think
was-
mine was 115.
Okay, next year I'll plan better.
Okay.
I think I paid 90. Well, Natick paid 90.
This comes out of that.
It was really early. Entertain a motion to pay Jess her $125 back and thank her for appearing at the Mass Association of Conservation Commission's annual conference.
Hmm.
Not, you can do a friendly amendment, not go all the way to thank her.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? It's you.
Please abstain. JG.
You can vote to reimburse yourself, huh?
You'll feel dirty if you do. Do what you want. Okay.
Oh, I can't sign it then. Because right?
And not if you abstained.
I have to
Abstain.
All right. But unfortunately, we'll probably end up being the last order of business because there's no way this gets discussed in 5 minutes. John R. Goldrosen, who's got to be the one that I've spoken to several times.
Time attorney, yep.
Dear Carly, this is in response. Oh, and this is good because, see, yeah, Carly's email. For some reason, I don't have Carly's email. I would have sent her my thing. Oh, here it is. C. Antonellis. Good. Okay.
Sorry, what?
I have her email. I've got my scan. I just didn't, when I went and typed in
yeah.
her name, I couldn't get it to pop up. All right. Dear Carly, this is in the response to the question presented in the email below concerning the procedure for the Conservation Commission to issue non-criminal disposition tickets. First, I note that in my previous email to Town Administrator, February 4th, I attached a draft amendment to the wetland bylaw to specify that the bylaw is enforceable by the Commission and the Conservation Administrator. As I stated, I was concerned that in the absence of such a specific provision in the bylaw, the issuance of a ticket might be subject to challenge. Then he notes, well, Article L3, that's L3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
town bylaws.
Okay. Well, Article L3 may be sufficient to establish the Conservation Commission's enforcement Roman numerals. Conservation Commission's authority to address violations of the wetland bylaw by both criminal and non-criminal enforcement. I recommend that the wetlands bylaw be amended to specify this authority. Currently, the wetlands bylaw, unlike most town bylaws, does not specify that violation of a wetlands bylaw provision or an order issued thereunder is subject to a criminal penalty. Without such a specification, the issuance of a non-criminal ticket might be subject to challenge on the basis that non-criminal disposition cannot be an alternative means of penalizing a violation in the absence of a specific criminal penalty for the violation. I don't agree with it. For that reason, it may be prudent to refrain from issuing any tickets until an article to adopt the bylaw amendment is approved by town meeting and by the Attorney General. Cue gasp. As to the specific question about who can issue and write a ticket, Article L3 simply names the Conservation Commission as the enforcing authority, which would mean that any member of the commission could write a ticket, in my opinion. The proposed amendment to the bylaw would have the same effect while adding the Conservation Administrator as an additional enforcing person. However, as the commission members themselves indicated at the recent meeting, allowing each individual member of the commission to write tickets raises some concern. In particular, there is the potential for inconsistent enforcement in the absence of a clear commission policy as to when tickets should be issued and whether alternative enforcement measures should be taken prior to issuing a ticket. As the commission members may know, in the case of enforcement orders, which do not themselves impose a fine, an individual commission member may issue an enforcement order, but the action is subject to ratification by the full commission at its next meeting. In contrast, the procedure for issuing tickets does not offer the opportunity for the commission to review its members' actions. If a person receiving a ticket wishes to appeal, the person might file with the district court to contest the ticket. For this reason, it is my experience that conservation commissions often limit ticket issuance to the conservation agent administrator alone, or perhaps to the commission chairman as well, rather than allowing all members to issue tickets. I hope this is truly helpful to you and the commission. Came by email. You have thoughts on this?
thinking about appeals. I mean, if somebody wants to go fight in court, and you wrote the ticket, you're gonna have to show up and defend why you wrote it. I'm sure town council's not gonna show up with us.
I would bet that's true. Well, interestingly, Article L3 is attached, thank you, states, enforcement through indictment or on complaint to district court. Any bylaw, rule, or regulation of the town of Ayer duly adopted and enforced may be enforced through any lawful means in law or in equity, including but not limited to enforcement by criminal indictment or on complaint before the district court pursuant to General Law 40, Section 21. Each day that a violation exists shall constitute a separate offense. A fine of up to $300 may be imposed for each violation.
Just, just for all the legalese to be at the same place at the same time.
Approved by Attorney General September 11, 2013. Interesting. This is incredibly clear. Enforcing authority. The enforcing authority hereunder, in addition to any officer or authorized person specified in any particular bylaw or rule or regulation of the town, shall be Ayer Police Department, including any police officer. In addition, the following officers may enforce the following bylaws: anti-littering, Board of Health, nuisance, building inspector, wetlands, conservation commission. This is officers.
It's kind of crystal.
Disappointing to me that his suggestion is that you go and modify the bylaw so that there's no duality. There is no duality. It states it right here in the town bylaw.
The problem, admittedly, is that when I went to go investigate this, I looked at the bylaw. Didn't see anything. I moved on to other resources before considering that the rest of the town's bylaws might have something in them.
Understandable.
And that was, I think, the fourth bylaw I looked in.
Would seem one thing we could ask for an amendment to this one to include under Wetlands Conservation Commission and Conservation Administrator.
Well, and he's stating in here specifically,
Yeah.
the benefit to making the change is that we're the enforcing authority in two places, and that we can include someone who is not a member, because it says the following officers, Conservation Commission, which actually, quite honestly, is wide open in itself. It is wide open.
So,
Okay.
just as an example, of perhaps a thought experiment, we had in today a fellow who cut down a tree and who has built 6 different homes on water bodies and knows exactly how the commission functions and how the wetland rules function. And then also signed off on a conservation easement on the particular property where we cut the tree down. And so in terms of, issuing a ticket for misbehavior, just like run through that, what, is that the kind of person that you would give a ticket to in this context? Or do you give them the first strike? Or do you say, you know what, you knew exactly what you were doing, and you are the most highly educated class of person for knowing that you violated something?
Arguably, this is where it gets extremely tricky.
Well, this is a kind of policy building thing. Like, this is.
What did we
No, hold
learn?
on.
What did we learn?
You actually raised a pen. No one else did. Go ahead, please.
I raised a paper.
I know, it was ostentatious.
You came first.
In rock, paper, scissors, I think the 10. So, I kind of tend to agree with the sentiment that town council, I think, was trying to present, that we could get ourselves into trouble if we're all walking around issuing tickets. But what I will say is that even if,
So I'm
even if-
separating that
yeah.
from the bylaw argument.
right, even if we do update our bylaw
Mhm.
to include the provision that we have this authority.
Sure.
I guess my personal feeling is that the issuance of a ticket is sort of the last resort.
Yeah.
That if we have an issue with anybody removing a tree or doing whatever, the first step is you take enforcement action through the regulatory process,
Sure.
violation
Violation
notice,
notice.
enforcement order.
Potentially even sending it to DEP.
Right.
Mhm.
I think, we should have, if not a standard procedure, we should do at least one of those things, or potentially all of those things before we get to the point of,
We should have a step.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
No, but I mean, there's already a prescribed process for
Yeah.
doing it. You issue a violation notice enforcement order, if it rises to that level, you go
But
through
we
that
should,
process.
I think we should consistently follow a procedural.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an order of conditions in place, you enforce it against that existing order of conditions. If there isn't, you require them to file a notice of intent.
No,
So, yeah.
I feel the same way, and it's one of the reasons why. So I'm excited to give the regulations tooth. To me, it feels like the tickets are almost mutually assured destruction. And the reason I feel that way is that as soon as you send that ticket out, you are now engaging in a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because that person, let's say that person now is faced with two options. One is to pay the ticket, but in a particularly egregious situation, the state didn't even, so as an example, Ken Snow was here, okay? His client, who is Ruthier now, was Ruthier then. And Ruthier's property was allowing all those tire chips and the soil that was building up in his area to run straight down into the brook that runs through, crosses Willow Road. So here's Willow Road, that's Bennett's Brook, crosses right through. And he was discharging his parking area right into it. But see, here's the funny part. He was actually down this part, not Bennett's Brook, the farther part.
Tributary.
Fair enough. The state, we stepped in, we immediately said, boy, this is way beyond us. Went to the state jumped in. There was actually a whole bunch of back and forth with Ruthier, who was very well connected at the time, because he was getting these awards from the state about what he was doing for conservation, et cetera, because of his removal of the tires, and so there was a kind of a hullabaloo even. The state didn't fine him. The state just said you need to clean it up. So I'm not saying that the state was right in that case. In fact, I personally thought the state should fine him, because what he did was not only egregious, it was absolutely on purpose. But after the fact, or known, I guess is probably a better way to put it, he knew he was doing it while it was happening. But after the fact, I remember thinking, well, it was really odd that they didn't fine him. Okay? We had multiple occurrences going after the folks on Willows Road and Crabtree. State never fined either of them. So, to me, it seems like the state's last resort, to Takashi's point, is to issue a fine. And so, my feeling would be to Takashi's and Jess's statements, and in keeping with the collegial feeling that we expressed the last time, it seems to make sense to follow a policy that says, we do this, then we do this, then we do this, and then there's that holy smokes moment where we say, no, this is unbelievable. We're fining that person. Here's the next question. So you fine that person to punish them, where does the money go?
To the town.
To the town in a general fund. Has absolutely zero effect on our ability to say, you know what, this person did something terrible and now we've collected the money to do something good with it or put it in a better direction. It's just like that fine that the bank got when they had to admit that they had ripped off all those people with the mortgages. It went into the general fund of the United States government.
So perhaps an issue for the bylaw?
Well, I don't think we can control where the money goes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, Bonnie and I went to the wetlands enforcement workshop in the morning.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have
And,
armbands?
there's no way the money can go anywhere but the town fund.
Yeah.
I think, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure on that.
Yeah.
And actually,
I would bet that's state.
they had a woman who's agent, I think, for Canton, and then also a town council from town. And both of them were very emphatic that the moment you start in with ticketing, monetary fine, you turn things adversarial. When the goal of the Wetland Protection Act or Conservation Commission is to try to elicit people's cooperation, and it sends things south right
Yeah.
away. So they were like really last resort
Yeah.
for particularly bad actors. One thing I was thinking of is that we might consider with large developments where we do have known history of bad actors, that we put in our orders of conditions, failure to obey these will be subject to
Right.
ticketing.
Well, we could even list
Yeah.
out, what it was, because,
Right.
so in this particular case, so when the state stepped in and forced, just to give an example, forced Crabtree to hire DeShang Wang, when Willow hired Mary, I can't remember her last name. Trudeau, thank you. That was certainly more than $300. There's no question that the expense that was borne by the applicant in their failure was more than the $300 ticket. And yet I'd be willing to bet that the $300 ticket would hurt a lot more or be more adversarial than saying you need to clean it up and you need to hire an expert to do it. Because he's still got to clean it up and he's still got to hire an expert. There's no question about that. Whether he's bargain hunting in the process, that's not the important part. But that $300 ticket would most likely make it a very difficult thing. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's not a good thing to put on there that says, you know what, we're only going to put up with this for so long. And I wouldn't even have any problem mentioning in our meeting saying, one of the things that we added is that we read special condition number 37. Number 37, if there are violations on your property, we'll really be disappointed. Here's how we go about it.
Ticketing at $300.
Ticketing at $300 per
Okay.
offense in
Per
keeping
day.
with state statute, which is what the state
Yeah.
DEP does,
And it's per day, too.
per day, per violation.
Yeah.
So if
Per
there's 10
violation.
violations, that's $3,000 a day.
The other thing,
Did you see the order of condition that I wrote up for the Willows? Because
I-
I put in a little paragraph as part of the introduction, and DeShang was saying that I did a nice job rewriting that.
Good.
And so that's certainly a starting place, where I just basically said, according to the town bylaw, this is how this works, and here's the number, da 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 da. Do you have it, Jess?
yeah, according to the bylaws of the town of Ayer, Article L3 enforcement, the Conservation Commission is considered an enforcement officer for Article 27, wetlands protection, well, whatever, of our bylaws.
Mhm.
As the wetlands bylaw does not specify a fine amount for a violation, Article L3 specifies the fine to be $300 per violation. Each day a violation exists shall constitute a separate offense. That does put that there. So for
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, no, that's great. I just want to put it in another place where it lists out. The first step is a violation notice.
Mhm.
The second step is an enforcement order. The third step is, quite frankly, we report you to the state, and we go to DEP seeking help, literally writing it up, saying this is how it happens,
Yeah.
and and then listing the ticketing. It's not so much to say we're going to ticket you; it's to say, these are the tools that are available to us. Please don't violate the law.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're on the same page as far as collegial decision. That's number one. Methodology. That's number two. I would say that if we haven't done a ticket in a very long time, it's probably because up to this point, everything, once it went to the state level, was handled. And we didn't run into any more problems where, an existing issue that the state had somebody cleaning up didn't stay cleaned up.
And I asked the question, just had in mind, if we had, say, a recalcitrant homeowner who was doing something and wasn't complying with a violation notice or an enforcement order, potentially you could write a ticket that can come before the commission. As long as you haven't turned in that ticket, you can rip it up, but as a carrot and stick, as a for a bad actor type of violation.
No, I don't have any problem with that, although, I do agree that, that's where you turn it from a discussion to a battle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that,
No,
we
that's
gotta be
if you-
prepared for it if you're
Right.
gonna do it. If you're
Right.
gonna do it, you gotta be prepared to go all the way. So, I think we need to consider both parts of it. Since we happen to be talking about rewriting our bylaw, it makes sense to add that in there.
Yeah.
But again, I guess I am very concerned based upon 562, what rewriting our bylaw actually means,
Yeah.
what's available to us. I mean,
We'll find out shortly.
that's pretty stringent.
Well, it's stringent in a certain sense from the state agency level. And, if it doesn't apply to the town laws and the way that it was written, where it gave superseding ability for town, you know, so as long as you don't go beyond what the town has, so towns are allowed to exceed state law in a certain reading of, or listening of that. So, you know, I think there's room to work. Maybe not as much as originally thought, but I think there's certainly room to work. And I don't think the town council would have phrased his writing that way if he's been paying attention at all,
Oh,
and it mattered. But
Hey, there's the rub.
yeah, there's a couple of qualifiers in that sentence.
I would also say, though, that the town council is always going to recommend what he's done here, which is to say, you know, more conservative, more protection, state it in more places.
Right.
So, whether it'll stick or not, that's, you know, that's not his problem. His problem is that, you know, you have it written in a town bylaw, but it's not written in your conservation bylaw. If you didn't have a conservation bylaw, it wouldn't matter. That's what he's saying, right?
I think so.
There's no point of reference if you don't have a conservation bylaw, but you have one, and you don't mention enforcement, so. All right. Do you have some updates?
Did you guys happen to get my Dropbox link?
Yeah.
When did you send it?
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Okay, I go in Dropbox all the time. What's on there?
I found the video of the bylaw discussion.
I was afraid this was John Oliver's Drumpf, and I was going to say that's easily available on
His
YouTube.
mosquito control district
Have you seen it?
bit, though, was
No.
really good.
Oh my glory! Has anyone seen it?
Yeah.
Have you seen Drumpf?
Mic drop.
All right,
Yeah, it's on your homework.
you have to. It's 20 minutes of the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life, and he dismantles a candidate for president. I won't tell you which one. John Oliver dismantles a candidate for president in a way that it's both funny and perfect because he uses the candidate's own words against him. It's just
Was this
It's tremendous.
Was this
no. I'm not talking
Okay.
about it in a for or against kind of thing. I'm saying from a humorous aspect,
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's just
Was this
funny.
last week?
It's
yeah.
his truthiness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
I
week
saw
ago
part of it.
Sunday.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
pretty funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dropbox,
Yeah.
the actual
Yeah.
video of the whole day 3 of town meeting when this was discussed. So the whole video is in there.
wait, when we discussed it?
No, when town meeting discussed it.
Yeah, no.
It has all of Patrick Hughes' presentation.
That's what I was wondering. So
Yeah.
that one, I was hoping you meant the 1984 one.
No. Although I could do that too. If I know it's 1984, I can go find it. Theoretically,
Well,
they've got video, right? If
I can
find
tell
a
you this
VHS
much.
player.
I wrote an email at the time. Damn.
You wrote an email at 84?
No.
How old
I
are
went
you?
into the town clerk's office and she opened the safe. It was Ann Callahan. And she opened the safe. That's where the books were kept that had all the information on the old town meetings. And we went through it and we found the meeting and I sent it in an email. I'd have to go dig. I swear it was 1984 was when the town passed this. Like we found the dusty copy of the actual town meeting article. I bet I sent it in an email. Anyway,
So there's
84.
that in there. And then I extracted the 2 clips of people speaking against the bylaw.
2.
Yeah, it was Tom Poole and another fellow who spoke up in the audience.
No,
Actually,
it was Franny Callahan.
Franny Callahan and actually I think Calvin spoke out against it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't see that in
I didn't see that in there. If he did, it wasn't in a section I watched.
There was a section that didn't have anything to do with it. In the Dropbox, one of them, I think it was the,
I thought it was one big one, the whole thing, so that if
the
you wanted...
number 2 one. It was the 15-minute one, like the number 4 one was, but it was nothing to do with anything, so,
maybe I should look at that again.
yeah.
But, so what I thought I put in there was that then the whole presentation, start to end, pro, con, the whole discussion, and then the 2 folks that spoke against it, that basically so that you could refresh yourselves on the particular details of opposition that are likely to recycle.
Well, and then there was did you see the Luchesi part where he said, what do you need a bylaw for?
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
Well, and
the
after, and
very
you
end?
have,
It was
At the very end.
unbelievably stunning.
you have a copy in front of you of the bylaw that
Yeah.
was attempted, and that Takashi sent. I found an old email of yours, basically, and I resent that around to everybody else. And basically, what that bylaw appears to be is simply procedural. I was flipping through it and going, we do this anyway, we do this
I know.
anyway, this is how we do our business, there wasn't really a bylaw
It's
in
just
there.
like whittling down this and so
Yeah,
it
that
works.
was more like a handbook than a bylaw.
Yeah.
And so,
Nice work.
you know,
It's talking to you.
So why were people against it?
what's the bylaw in
Hold on,
terms
hold
of-
on. How many town meetings have you been to?
One,
Was anyone for anything?
no.
So,
At the time also.
Actually,
They were for cutting
actually,
taxes and.
the last one, yes, because if you get enough people, you go around and you talk to enough people, you say, come to this town meeting because you want to vote for X, Y, or Z.
absolutely, and things like that have happened in the past. We have some direct correlation to things that have happened in the past. No, what happened was, it was at a period where, was this '06? Is that what I saw on this? '05.
05 was the bylaw, 06 was that email.
So you're talking about a time when building was going great guns,
Yep,
and nobody wanted it to slow down.
yeah.
And Moore's was selling lumber for people who were doing it, and folks in town were plumbers or electricians who were working on houses, and nobody was interested in anything slowing down or stopping. And the interesting part about that, of course, is that, as you said, if you read it, really wasn't any change. Or, in fact, I remember us going through saying things like, no one could be opposed to this, because as we walked through it, we're like, we didn't really make any drastic changes, we just defined things.
Right.
And so, I don't know if any of the people who stood up against it had actually gone through it. What they really did was they just said they didn't want another bylaw.
Well, Tom Poole said he thought, it was all without, it had no appeal clause, and it was all relying on, people on the commission who were appointed, not elected, so couldn't be voted out, so it was giving too much authority. Even though the language in it seemed to be, as the Conservation Commission deems or whatever, and that's reflected in the MACC's model bylaw too. It's the same
Interestingly,
language.
Tom Poole was the chair of the commission for 15 years
He
before
mentioned
you.
that in his opposition.
I bet he did.
He also mentioned that he thinks that the town should have a bylaw, but this isn't the one.
Do miss
I,
it.
I don't know how many times I'm muttering under my breath during a meeting, we really need a bylaw.
Yeah.
Yes, he said that. And
Yeah.
so the video clips are all there. You can refresh yourselves. Steel yourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if
from-
refresh is what will come out of it, but we'll certainly educate. Okay, please continue. I was up at 5 a.m. We had 7 minutes left. What do you got?
Actually, that might have been all of it. Because the law thing and the ACEC thing and the bylaw thing, they all kind of bleed into each other. And, we've covered it all, more or less.
It is astounding looking at the map. It's great to see the pieces put together.
Oh!
Yeah.
What do you want out of this? So this map is a first crack at, answering that concern. But what do you want this as like something formal, like in an 8.5 by 11? Do you want another, like one of those? Like
No, I'm actually very happy with the 8.5 by 11 presentation with regard to the fact that we can look at them and start to get a feel for how we want to do it. I mean, let's face it, none of us in this room have ever had the opportunity to put all these things together like we're doing for the town of Ayer so that we could say, hey, you know what, this is great, but take this off and add that. So we can, by continuing to do this, we get to the point where we figure out what we really want.
Or like, do you want me to make like a glossy version of that that's like this big by this big, and
No,
then
no.
you can hold it like this?
I love keep getting these until we get to the point where we say, this is just what I want, and then we'll go and make the glossy version.
Well, I know that's what I'm asking. What do you want? Like, point me in the right, request something more specific.
Well, I was kind of excited that every week a new one seemed to come out. I wasn't complaining about that at all. I thought that was the best part.
I could think with having a little binder, of like a bunch of different maps, all same scale, it would be nice resources for us to have,
Yeah,
covering different things. So
that's
that
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you can have one for the aquifer
Yeah.
water.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the overlay.
Flip with, yeah.
Flip
Yeah.
it,
Various
flip it,
overlaps.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
you can
have
keep
one
popping
busy
back
with
and forth.
everything.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I am excited and happy about the way the map situation has been coming out. Please continue.
All right, so then I think.
And then what we need to get are those binders with the pages, the tabs, so that you can slide it in, so that you don't have to try and punch holes in these, so it screw up the maps.
I think I'm gonna pursue Takashi's thought and just bind her up and see how many different versions I can see the world, and maybe that'll go and we'll just put it in there and we'll have 2 or 3 of those to pass around during meetings.
Or 5.
Or 5 or 6. I don't know. I'm limited only by the number of plastic sheets I can find.
I'd buy some, but that's just me.
I think it'd be cheaper than a Robin's Egg blue metallic striated frame.
Each. And the difficulty of carrying that around.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing
Um,
this.
me too, I gotta see it now.
Okay. So let's
You're
see.
getting smart.
Did we cover all accounts payable? Did you have any more?
No.
Okay. Everything that
budget.
was here is done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got the budget there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw or not. What else did you have? You had that. Yeah.
Okay. So, because it's appropriate, Jess, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about since last meeting?
Only I'll write up a little email. I went to a session on solar panel permitting issues for conservation commissions.
Oh boy.
No, well, and it was actually fairly boring, but and a lot of the
Good.
stuff they were suggesting were things that we've already been considering, like how do things go on the ground. The one thing I thought was interesting in reviewing future proposals, like we were asking the Rosewood one, why they had this particular configuration. And one question you can ask is, well, if you want to get a little bit away from a buffer zone encroachment or whatever, are they using the most efficient panels that they could use? Because they can still get their cost benefit.
Actually, that's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, but but it's a question you can ask applicants. What are you at the most efficient? Whatever. Can you reduce your field size by using a more efficient? At any rate, that's something to consider.
No, it's a great question, right? So
yeah.
I see that you are in the buffer zone. Are you using the most efficient panel? Because if you were using the most efficient panel, you wouldn't need to be in the buffer zone.
Right, exactly.
Discussed.
Yeah, exactly. Make them account for it or whatever. So I'll write up.
Oh, because they're probably getting a cut rate deal on the 2nd and 3rd generation back panels.
No, they're
So-
absolutely getting a cut rate deal. I mean,
Right. So yeah. So there's a good chance from a business perspective you can do all that, get a cheaper panel, and even though the efficiency may not be so high. Yeah.
Well, so, and here's where it's a slippery slope, right? So I'm going to the cost and expense. Where's my money? Is it in my panels? Is it in the installation? And is it in the wiring? Is it in the maintenance over the years? It doesn't make any sense. I assume it makes less sense to put in a less efficient panel than it makes to put in a more efficient panel, which generates more energy, which is what I'm doing it for in the first place. So I would be willing to bet that in general they probably are using as an efficient panel as makes sense.
Yeah.
But
But
who
it's just
knows?
some questions we can go through.
That's a good one. Sir?
No.
Sir?
I just want to update the trails on the conservation land are pretty good shape.
Excellent.
Check 'em out.
And you've had some great weekends to work. It wasn't too warm last weekend for working outside. Yeah.
Oh, Steve Smith wants to come before us with his latest
Oh,
auto
yeah.
reg thing. He updates his.
Oh yeah.
You said trails that way. Think of that.
You said spring, that made me think of autumn.
Yeah.
Anything for you?
I enjoyed that conference. I learned a lot.
That's good.
I know, it was great.
Oh, you guys and Lee have anything to say?
Hi. She went to the session on conservation commissions behaving badly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did she?
Oh.
Did she speak? She certainly had a great example. Not us.
No. I think I know. One of the comments out of Robert was, I said, hey, so I heard that the selectmen had a problem with the Conservation Commission, issuing tickets.
And I said, is that due to a problem that's no longer there? And he goes, yep. He goes, go ahead. No big, you're not gonna hear anything from us.
That's funny. Well, in this particular case, Lee was faced with a project that she did, and the person that she was dealing with was the chairman of the Conservation Commission, and he was the most belligerent and difficult of the people to deal with on the property that he was leasing. So she had just a horror story to
There
tell.
are conflict of interest issues that.
Unbelievable conflict of interest.
Mm.
Unbelievable conflict of interest.
And the town council who did the wetlands enforcement workshop that Bonnie and I went to was a lawyer who helped Lee on that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Since the wetland bylaw is a slippery slope, we said that we would talk about something else on the 24th. I can't remember what it was.
Legal policy.
Ticketing policy.
Yeah.
Excellent. We're right there. Done.
Yeah.
So check that off. Put it on so I can check it off. And then and then we'll re-up our bylaw discussion.
Well, yeah, and I think the two of them are going to be very similar and sort of dovetailing no matter how we frame it.
No, absolutely. But I think we covered the most important part of the ticketing policy, which is everyone's ticket books and pencils should remain firmly where they are until we get to a point where we have someone who's so egregious. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have properties that are already so egregious and aren't right on the border of where that might happen, but that's a different discussion for a different day.
Here, Bonnie, will you pass that back?
Yes.
Oh, and I want you to have this.
I forgot one thing. Geosyntec, was there any updates?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No emails, nothing.
Did we pay them?
Nope. They haven't finished, technically.
I mean, at this point, we sent in the letter, we told them what we were looking for, and no response, which I found was kind of kooky, but that was only 2 weeks ago.
3 or 4.
Well, based on the way that they sent the report to us, they have a few more months to reply, but.
So when's the expected sort of presentation to select
I'll get this one.
people and
Yes.
town meeting? Like a year out, 2 years out?
I wouldn't think so. I assume, the interesting part is it's 10%, so I would think that he would be interested in his money. So maybe the right thing to do is to send him a follow-up email over the weekend that says, so, hadn't heard from you, wondered what you were thinking, what's going on? Do it that
I don't
way.
think this would be a town meeting presentation. I think it'd be just a public meeting.
Right, we would end up
Public
holding a
meeting.
public meeting and
We
have,
can do it.
we'd hold the big hall, and we'd bring people in
Okay.
and say, hey,
Okay.
wanted you to know what happened, and here's what we learned, and here's where we're headed, and this is Bob Hartzell.
Yep, okay.
Did you want to issue a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
You were
Second.
thinking, you didn't even get to, how about that?
Yeah.
Too slow. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,